Chapter 676. Black Evil Clone Trash. What a bunch of trash. They can't do anything right. Old freak Black Evil forced Black Widow back before tearing through the void and appearing in front of Sichu Zheng. Heaven-breaking palm. Old freak Black Evil bellowed. As he moved his hands, two powerful palm imprints appeared in the air. The palm imprint from his left hand flew toward Solitaire. The palm imprint from his right hand collided with Ningyu's palm of life and death. Kai. Old freak Black Evil was much stronger than Sichu Zheng, so he easily blocked Ningyu's fatal attack. Kill him, old freak Black Evil. Kill Ningyu now. Sichu Zheng seemed to have grabbed onto a life-saving straw when he saw old freak Black Evil. He shouted, Ningyu has a small branch in his hand. I suspect that branch is. Sichu Zheng did not say the last few words out loud. Instead, he used a spiritual voice transmission to tell old freak Black Evil. Hiss. Old freak Black Evil sucked in a breath of cold air when he heard Sichu Zheng's words. Old freak Black Evil looked at Ningyu with excitement in his eyes. Ningyu, you're still too inexperienced. In this world, there are some treasures that you can't let others know about. Swoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, old monster Black Evil rose from the ground and gathered all the essence in his body on his wrist. Then, he threw a punch that brought along a monstrous essence wind and punched at Ningyu's head. Old freak Black Evil was stronger than Sichu Zheng at his peak. Now that he did not hold back, if Ningyu was unlucky enough to be hit, he would definitely die on the spot. How the F***ck am I inexperienced? If I didn't expose the branch of the world tree, I would have been killed by Sichu Zheng. How could I still be alive now? Ningyu's face was extremely gloomy as he looked at the approaching old monster Black Nefarious. Dark Emperor, Red Devil, hurry up and kill Sichu Zheng. Ningyu gritted his teeth and shouted, remember, you only have 1 minute. 1 minute. As old freak Black Nefarious flew towards Ningyu, he sneered, I only need 3 seconds to kill you. 3 seconds. Old monster Black Evil, it seems like you don't put me in your eyes. Black Widow was completely aware of old monster Black Nefarious' actions. The reason why Black Widow did not help Ningyu immediately was because she was preparing her trump card. Against a powerful martial artist like old monster Black Nefarious, Black Widow did not have absolute confidence in winning. Black Widow, wait until I'm done with Ningyu, then I'll come back to settle the score with you. Old monster Black Nefarious scolded, then his body gradually became illusory. Buzz. In the next moment, old monster Black Nefarious' body split into two. One rushed towards Ningyu, while the other attacked Black Widow. Not good, it's a doppelganger technique. Horror dawned on the Black Widow when she sensed the powerful aura emanating from the two black wicked old monsters. The two black wicked old monsters in front of her had the same aura, but their strength was slightly lower. Although their strength was lower, it was still very easy for them to block Black Widow. I have to block old monster Black Nefarious' attack. Ningyu turned his head to look at Black Widow, who was fighting with old monster Black Nefarious' other doppelganger. Black Widow was fighting with old monster Black Nefarious' doppelganger, so she could not help Ningyu in a short period of time. Therefore, Ningyu could only rely on his own strength to block old monster Black Nefarious. Ningyu, I'll help you. Me too. Just when Ningyu was feeling a little troubled, the Dark Emperor and Red Devil gave up on killing Sichu Zheng and turned to help him. Whoosh. The Dark Emperor's speed was very fast. As he flew through the air, his body gradually became bigger, revealing his true form. What? It's actually the purple-gold sky-devouring dog. The Dark Emperor's true form caused old monster Black Nefarious to be momentarily stunned. In a fight between experts, even 0.1 seconds of distraction could determine victory or defeat. It was obvious that while old monster Black Nefarious was stunned, Red Devil had turned into a shadow and merged with the Red Devil sword. Go! Ningyu seized this rare opportunity. He gripped the Red Demon sword tightly with both hands and stabbed it directly at the Black Nefarious monster's heart. After all, old monster Black Nefarious was a half-step manifestation realm martial artist. After being stunned for a moment, he quickly reacted. If I'm hit by your flying sword, how am I going to survive in the Great Xia Kingdom and the Heavenly Demon region? Old monster Black Nefarious laughed sinisterly. To tell you the truth, Today, I want the world tree's branch, the soul wood, and the flying sword in your hand, woof woof. However, before old monster Black Nefarious could finish his words, he heard a dog bark. Swoosh. In the next second, a white ball shot out from Ningyu's storage ring and charged at old monster Black Nefarious at an unbelievable speed. Whoosh. Not only was the white ball fast, but its attack was also exceptionally sharp. Its furry little claws directly slashed across old monster Black Nefarious' chest. Accompanied by a piercing sound, a blood-colored mark appeared on old monster Black Nefarious' chest. Ah! The moment the blood-colored mark appeared, old monster Black Nefarious let out a hysterical scream. Go to hell! Old monster Black Nefarious raised his arm and swept it at the white ball. Furball. Seeing old monster Black Nefarious' actions, Ningyu shouted, dodge quickly. Woof woof. Furball barked at Ningyu like a human, then closed its eyes as if it had used up all its strength. Bang. Furball's action of closing its eyes meant that it had lost the ability to resist. Unsurprisingly, Furball was swept by old monster Black Nefarious' arm, and its body was like a kite with its string cut, flying into the distance. Furball's pitiful state completely enraged the Dark Emperor. The purplish gold wings on the Dark Emperor's back flapped rapidly, and in a few leaps, he arrived before old monster Black Nefarious, and a pair of front claws once again clawed at old monster Black Nefarious' chest. Scram! Old monster Black Nefarious was indeed not weak. Even after being clawed by Furball's full strength, he still seemed completely fine. Cursing inwardly, old monster Black Nefarious punched out again, and it landed precisely on the Dark Emperor's back. Bang! A starving camel was still bigger than a horse. Although the Dark Emperor was already very strong, he was still powerless before old monster Black Nefarious. As expected, the Dark Emperor's back was struck by old monster Black Nefarious' fist, and his body fell backward. Ha ha ha, a purplish gold sky-devouring hound that hasn't matured yet, I can crush it with one hand. After knocking the Dark Emperor back, old monster Black Nefarious laughed maniacally. Poochie. However, just as old monster Black Nefarious laughed, his eyes widened, and his face was filled with disbelief. Then, old monster Black Nefarious lowered his head to look at the blood-red flying sword in his chest. His mouth opened slightly, and he pointed at Ningyu. You, old monster Black Nefarious wanted to say something, but before he could say anything, his eyes rolled back, and he fell to the ground. You're courting death. How dare you destroy my clone? Chapter 677. Heavily injuring Sichu Zheng. Chapter 677. Crippling Sichu Zheng. Black Nefarious monster, you've lost a clone. Your strength has dropped by at least 30%. Hearing old monster Black Demon's roar, the Black Widow sneered, I want to see how you will kill Ningyu. You. Black Nefarious monster clenched his fists. Even his voice was trembling. Black Widow was right. Ningyu had destroyed one of his clones, causing his strength to drop by 30% to 40%. At his peak, he could still fight Black Widow. If he went all out, he could even injure Black Widow. Now that he had lost 30% to 40% of his strength, it would be difficult for him to fight Black Widow head-on. However, it would not be that easy for Black Widow to kill him. Black Widow, I won't lower myself to your level today. We'll meet again someday. Sichu Zheng, hurry up and leave. Black Nefarious monster knew when to yield. He knew that he would not be able to gain anything from staying, so he chose to leave immediately. Where there's life, there's hope. Old monster Black Nefarious understood this very well. But, old monster Black Evil understood everything, but Sichu Zheng was different from him. Sichu Lei's corpse was still there, so Sichu Zheng naturally wanted to leave with Sichu Lei. No buts. If you don't want to leave, I won't force you. Black Nefarious monster could not be bothered with Sichu Zheng. He tore open the void and disappeared in the blink of an eye. You want to leave? Stay here. Seeing that Black Nefarious monster was about to leave, Black Widow yelled and grabbed at the void with both hands. Instantly, a crack appeared in front of her. In the next moment, Black Widow entered the void and disappeared just like Black Nefarious monster. Ha ha ha. Sichu Zheng raised his head and laughed maniacally when Black Widow disappeared. His expression was very annoying. Ningyu, now that Black Widow is gone, Let's see what you can do to me. After laughing, Sichu Zheng changed the topic and said sinisterly, my strength will recover to the half-step manifestation realm in 20 seconds. By then, noisy. Since he only had 20 seconds, Ningyu did not want to waste it. Furthermore, now that the Dark Emperor was severely injured, only he and the Red Devil were left with the ability to fight. Of course, Lung Mion and Evil Eye's strength was limited and they couldn't help much. You're calling me noisy? You'll be crying later, Sichu Zheng growled. Instead of retreating, he chose to attack head-on. Whoosh, whoosh. Lung Mion and Evil Eye received Ningyu's order and attacked Sichu Zheng from the left and right respectively when they saw Sichu Zheng attacking. Bang! However, Lung Mion was at the late stage of the yin-yang realm, while Xieyang was only at the mid-stage of the yin-yang realm. The two of them could not even block Sichu Zheng for a second before their eyes rolled back and they fainted. Ningyu, how many transcendent-grade origin crystals do you have on you now? Just as Sichu Zheng was about to reach Ningyu, the Red Devil's voice quietly rang in Ningyu's mind. Hearing that, Ningyu was stunned at first, but he quickly said, 1 million transcendent-grade origin crystals. Let's go all out. Let's work together to block Sichu Zheng for 20 seconds and buy time for the Red Devil sword to devour the transcendent-grade origin crystals. The Red Devil growled. What? Ningyu was stunned. He was confused. Whoosh. However, Sichu Zheng had already arrived in front of him. Ningyu could only stop thinking and fight against Sichu Zheng together with the Hong Fiend who had revealed his true form. Buzz. While Ningyu and the Red Devil were working together to fight Sichu Zheng, the Red Devil sword turned into a shadow and entered the storage ring. The Red Devil sword seemed to know what to do. As soon as it entered the storage ring, it devoured the transcendent-grade origin crystals at an astonishing speed. At this speed, Ningyu's 1 million transcendent-grade origin crystals would be completely devoured in less than 20 seconds. If you're at your peak, you might be able to injure me while I'm weak. There were still 20 seconds left before he could recover to his peak state. Sichu Zheng's confidence was instantly boosted as he said coldly, but in your current condition, you can't even touch my body. What makes you think you can kill me? By the way, that purple-gold sky-devouring hound over there is half dead now. It'll be a piece of cake for me to kill him. However, don't worry. I'll only kill you 2 pieces of trash. As for that purple-gold sky-devouring hound, I'll bring him to Dafu Royal City and study him. Are you done? Ningyu and the Red Devil's mission was to block Sichu Zheng for 20 seconds. Now that Sichu Zheng did not attack, Ningyu would not foolishly attack. That was because every second that he stalled Sichu Zheng, Ningyu could use the 5th level of the spirit conversion technique to absorb a large amount of origin chi. Although he could not recover to his peak in 20 seconds, he could recover quite a bit. I'm done. Of course I'm done. Sichu Zheng smiled evilly. This day next year will be the day you two die. 5 seconds left. At this moment, Ningyu crossed his arms in front of his chest and stared at Sichu Zheng with interest. 5, 4, what 5 seconds? What the hell are you doing? Sichu Zheng shouted in a low voice. 3, 2, Ningyu ignored Sichu Zheng's scolding and continued to count. Acting all mysterious, Sichu Zheng's eyes turned cold as he stomped the ground and charged toward Ningyu. 1. Sichu Zheng had just taken a few steps when Ningyu said the word 1. Boom. As Ningyu said the word 1, a blood-red ray of light suddenly shot out from the storage ring. Kai. The blood-red ray of light was so fast that it even made a sizzling sound when it touched the air. Ha ha ha, I thought you guys were up to something. So, you're planning to kill me with this king-grade flying sword? Sichu Zheng laughed as he looked at the blood-red flying sword that was approaching him. To tell you the truth, I've already recovered to my peak. My strength is no longer at the peak of yin-yang stage. I'm at the half-step manifestation stage. Whoosh. Subsequently, an extremely powerful aura erupted from Sichu Zheng's body. The fluctuation of this aura was extremely violent, and it even caused Ningyu to be stunned for a moment. Sichu Zheng seized the opportunity and charged at Ningyu like a cheetah while Ningyu was stunned. However, Sichu Zheng had obviously underestimated the power of the red demon sword. Before he reached Ningyu, he realized that the blood-red flying sword that had just charged out had suddenly appeared next to him. Swoosh! The blood-red flying sword was very fast, and a blue flame appeared on the tip of the sword. Stop pretending. Break it. Sichu Zheng immediately gave up on attacking Ningyu when he saw the blood-red flying sword appear next to him. His hands quickly reached out to grab the flying sword. However, Sichu Zheng's decision would make him regret it for the rest of his life. After letting out a hysterical scream, Sichu Zheng quickly swung his hands in an attempt to throw the red demon sword out of his hands. The red demon sword has devoured 1,000,000 supreme crystals. How can you possibly throw it away? Chapter 678. Another crisis. Hong Mo, tell me the truth. The red devil sword just devoured 1,000,000 extreme grade origin crystals, and now it has devoured another 1,000,000 extreme grade origin crystals. How far away is it from advancing into the monarch rank? Ningyu knew the might of the red demon sword. Sichu Zheng had been sucked in by the red demon sword, which was at the peak of the king stage. He had basically lost the possibility of escaping. What Ningyu was concerned about now was how long it would take for the red demon sword to advance to the monarch rank. Once the red demon sword advanced to the emperor level, Ningyu and the others would be able to contend against martial artists who were half a step into the manifestation realm. At the very least, he wouldn't be killed. It's impossible for me to advance to the monarch rank in a short period of time. The Red Fiend's answer disappointed Ningyu. 2,000,000 transcendent grade essence crystals is just a drop in the ocean. However, after the Red Fiend devoured so many transcendent grade essence crystals, I discovered an important piece of information, the Red Fiend said solemnly. What important news? Ningyu was puzzled. It's very simple. If I want to advance the Red Devil Sword to the monarch rank, then extreme grade origin crystals aren't sufficient anymore. Hong Mo took a deep breath and said, King grade. Royal grade origin crystals are needed to advance the Red Demon Sword to the monarch rank. How many king grade origin crystals do you need? Ningyu asked. I'm not too sure about the specifics, but according to my estimation, it will require at least a few million king grade origin crystals, Hong Mo said after thinking for a while. Ningyu was speechless. Several million royal grade essence crystals, this was 2F** king much, right? He only won a few million pieces of transcendent grade essence crystals after going through untold hardships. Where would he go to get a few million pieces of king grade essence crystals? Poochie. Just as Ningyu was having a headache over the royal grade essence crystals, the sound of blood spurting out rang out. Ningyu and the Red Fiend hurriedly turned their heads. Nearby, Sichu Zheng's eyes dimmed as he spat out a mouthful of blood. After spitting out blood, Sichu Zheng stretched out his right hand and held tightly onto the blood-red flying sword that was stabbed into his heart. Sichu Zheng tried to pull the blood-red flying sword out with all his might. However, he only managed to exert a little bit of strength before his body fell backward. Puff! After Sichu Zheng collapsed, the red devil sword exerted force again. It pierced through Sichu Zheng's heart and emerged from the other side of the ground. This feels so F***ing good. Seeing that Sichu Zheng had died on the ground, the Dark Emperor dragged his heavy body over and said in a clear voice, I didn't expect that even a half-step to manifestation stage martial artist would die in our hands. Just thinking about it is really exciting. The Dark Emperor vaguely remembered that when he first met Ningyu, he was bullied by an Origin Core Realm cultivator from the Corpse sect. In less than a year, who could have imagined that they had already grown to the point where they could kill martial artists who were half a step into the manifestation realm? Dark Emperor, don't be careless. Hurry up and rest. Ningyu was not overwhelmed by the joy of victory. He was very calm. After his soul force reached the 6th grade and his cultivation advanced to the yin-yang realm, Ningyu discovered that his perception had increased a lot. When he was fighting with Sichu Zheng, he didn't have time to observe his surroundings. Now that Sichu Zheng was dead, he had enough time to observe his surroundings. This glance caused Ningyu to break out in a cold sweat. Ningyu discovered that there were 3 powerful auras not far away from the courtyard. 2 of the auras were relatively weak, but they had also reached the peak of the yin-yang realm. As for the other aura, it made Ningyu very worried. This was because that aura was comparable to Sichu Zheng at his peak. It's fine. We've already killed these two fellows. We're safe now. The Dark Emperor pointed at the dead Sichu Lei and Sichu Zheng and said with a smile, the most important thing at this time is not to rest, but to obtain all the treasures on their bodies. There are experts around. The Red Devil did not lose his mind. He said in a deep voice, if you want to die, you can get your hands on their treasures. We won't stop you. After saying that, the Red Devil sat on the ground and began to recover with all his might. As for Ning Yu, he began to circulate the spirit transformation art like the Red Devil to replenish his Yuan Qi. What's the big deal? It's just F***CK. Hearing Ning Yu and the Red Devil's words, the Dark Emperor curled his lips, as if he didn't believe them. However, even though he didn't believe them, the Dark Emperor still spread out his perception to survey his surroundings. Very quickly, the Dark Emperor cursed. Because he had discovered 3 powerful auras outside the courtyard. One was at the half-step manifestation realm, and the other 2 were at the peak of the yin-yang realm. After cursing in his heart, the Dark Emperor immediately sat down cross-legged and began to absorb the surrounding Yuan Qi. The Dark Emperor knew very well that the 3 of them were not at their peak state. If another 2-peak yin-yang realm and a half-step manifestation realm cultivator appeared at this time, they would only be able to survive. It would be better if the Black Widow was here, but since the Black Widow wasn't here, they could only hope for the best. Swish. While Ning Yu and the others were recovering with all their might, a few martial artists were conversing in the air outside the courtyard. Patriarch Zhao, why hasn't Sichu Zheng and the others come out after so long? Dan Chunzi frowned slightly and asked doubtfully. That's right. Logically speaking, as long as they meet the Black Widow at this time, they would definitely flee immediately. Peng Ju was also confused. Zhao Mu pondered for a moment, then said, the situation might have changed. What changes can there be? Dan Chunzi and Peng Ju asked in unison. It's very simple. Since they haven't come out after so long, there's only one possibility. Zhao Mu said in a deep voice, that old monster Black Evil is also inside. Patriarch Zhao, didn't you say that you saw old monster Black Evil leave the capital with your own eyes? Peng Ju said. Humph. I did indeed see old monster Black Evil leave the capital with my own eyes, but with old monster Black Evil's strength, it would be easy for him to return without anyone noticing. Zhao Mu said coldly, the 2 of you go scout first and see what's going on inside. You want us to scout? That's not good, right? Peng Ju and Dan Chunzi were not fools. They knew that scouting at this time was no different from courting death. It's fine if you don't go. Zhao Mu did not force them. Instead, he said indifferently, if Ningyu is captured by Sichu Zheng and the others, you should know the consequences. That's right, the spirit wood is still with them. Hearing Zhao Mu's words, Dan Chunzi and Peng Ju's faces turned gloomy. They were both alchemists, and they were both early-stage 8th-grade alchemists. Something as precious as the spirit would be able to unleash its greatest power in their hands. It could be said that with soul force, the 2 of them could even refine middle-stage 8th-grade medicinal pills. Let's do it. Looking at each other, Dan Chunzi and Peng Ju shouted, then quietly disappeared from Zhao Mu's side. Looking at Dan Chunzi and Peng Ju who disappeared, the corner of Zhao Mu's mouth curled up. Da Fu Royal City should be under strong attack. At this time, we must not let Sichu Zheng and Sichu Lei leave the capital. As long as we can delay them for 3 to 4 days, Da Fu Royal City will become a subsidiary city of World King City. After integrating the resources of Da Fu Royal City and World King City, I might even have the chance to break through to Creation Realm. Chapter 679. Plot Peng Ju. Are we really going in? Dan Chunzi and Peng Ju stopped outside the courtyard where Ningyu and the rest were. Dan Chunzi frowned slightly and said in a deep voice, if Ningyu is controlled by Sichu Zheng and the rest, won't it be very dangerous for us to go in? We can't care so much now. Zhao Mu is watching us from behind. We have no other choice. How could Peng Ju not know this? Zhao Mu was also a half-step manifestation realm martial artist. If they did not go in, Zhao Mu would definitely be angry. If a half-step manifestation realm martial artist was angry, with their strength, they would definitely not be able to withstand it. Instead of staying and provoking Zhao Mu, they might as well go in and take a look. If Ning Yu and Sichu Zhang and the rest fought and both sides were injured, wouldn't they be the fishermen who reaped the benefits? As he spoke, Peng Ju moved and was about to enter the courtyard. Hold on, let me check it out. Dan Chunzi waved his hand, indicating for Peng Ju not to be anxious. Subsequently, Dan Chunzi displayed his early-stage grade 8 soul force and approached the courtyard step by step. Dan Chunzi was very careful, and the speed at which his soul force advanced was very slow. At such a close distance, he forcibly spent 3 minutes to extend his soul force into the courtyard. As soon as his soul force entered the courtyard, Dan Chunzi's heart skipped a beat and his expression became slightly solemn. Seeing Dan Chunzi's expression, Peng Ju hurriedly asked, "What's going on?" "Sichu Zhang and Sichu Lei are not in the courtyard. There are only 3 people, no, it should be 2 people and a black dog." Dan Chunzi took a deep breath and answered. "Sichu Zhang is not in the courtyard." Peng Ju was stunned at first, then he quickly asked, "Why is there a black dog? Also, who are the other 2 people?" Swoosh. Dan Chunzi immediately retracted his soul force and said, "One is Ningyu, the other is the red-clothed man." "Ningyu and the red-clothed man. What do we do now?" Peng Ju thought for a while and said, "Let's do it." Dan Chunzi rolled his eyes at Peng Ju, then carefully approached the courtyard and directly pushed the door open. Creak. In fact, when Dan Chunzi and Peng Ju appeared outside the courtyard, Ningyu had already noticed. However, Ningyu wasn't a fool. As long as Dan Chunzi and the others didn't come in, they could focus on absorbing Yuan Qi to recover. After all, once Dan Chunzi and Peng Ju entered the courtyard, a great battle was inevitable. Dark Emperor, Hong Mo, the 2 of you deal with Peng Ju later. Leave Dan Chunzi to me. The instant the courtyard door was pushed open, Ningyu stood up from the ground and said in a low voice, "There is still a half step to manifestation stage martial artist watching outside, so don't hold back. Do your best to kill Peng Ju." Understood. The Dark Emperor and the Red Devil knew that the danger this time was extremely great. They nodded and said in a deep voice. When they were at their peak, they could naturally kill a martial artist at the peak of Yin-Yang realm. But now that they were not at their peak, it would be very dangerous to kill Peng Ju at the peak of Yin-Yang realm. Attack. The instant Dan Chunzi and Peng Ju stepped into the courtyard, Ningyu held the Red Devil sword in his hand and took a step forward, charging towards Dan Chunzi like a cheetah. Swoosh. Swoosh. As for the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil, they tore through the void and appeared beside Peng Ju in an instant. Be careful. Dan Chunzi and Peng Ju were indeed early 8th grade alchemists. Their perception was extremely terrifying. As soon as Ningyu and the Dark Emperor made their move, they reacted and immediately responded. Bang! Bang! Peng Ju threw out 2 punches in a row, landing perfectly on the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil. The Dark Emperor and the Red Devil were not at their peak, so their bodies fell backward after being hit by Peng Ju's fists. However, the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil were tenacious. Although they were hit by the first punch, they still managed to stabilize themselves and launched a second attack. Rumble. Peng Ju was also experienced. When he saw the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil launching their second attack, he chose to deal with them instead of going all out. In Peng Ju's opinion, since he did not see Sichu Zhang here, it meant that Sichu Zhang was most likely hiding in the dark. If he expended too much energy, he might be ambushed by Sichu Zhang from the dark. Fortunately, Peng Ju had this mentality. Otherwise, the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil would be killed within a few moves. Fut. On the other side, Ningyu and Dan Chunzi stood in the air. They were only a few meters away from each other. Hehe, Ningyu, tell me where Sichu Zhang is and I can spare your life. Dan Chunzi smiled and said. Although Dan Chunzi was smiling on the surface, he was extremely careful in his heart. Dan Chunzi had the same thought as Peng Ju. He suspected that Sichu Zhang was hiding in the dark. It's easy to find out where Sichu Zhang is. Hearing Dan Chunzi's words, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat. He said calmly, ask Peng Ju to stop. As long as Peng Ju stops, I'll tell you where Sichu Zhang is. Dan Chunzi's face darkened when he heard that. He was having an intense mental struggle. He could stop, but he was afraid that Ningyu was up to something. Throw the soul wood over first. I'll only ask Peng Ju to stop when I see the soul wood. Dan Chunzi was not a fool. In fact, he was very smart. All right. Ningyu was very straightforward. He immediately took out the soul wood and threw it at Dan Chunzi. Swoosh. Looking at the soul wood that was flying toward him, Dan Chunzi was slightly stunned. Dan Chunzi did not expect that Ningyu would be willing to hand over such a precious item. After being stunned for a moment, Dan Chunzi flicked his finger. Instantly, a cold gleam flew out and wrapped around the soul wood. Come here. As Dan Chunzi shouted, the soul wood was grabbed in front of him. I didn't expect you to be so straightforward. Dan Chunzi checked the soul wood. After confirming that there was nothing wrong with the soul wood, he said loudly, Peng Ju, stop first. I'd like to see what Ningyu is up to. All right. Although Peng Ju was fighting the Dark Emperor and the others, he was constantly paying attention to what was happening on Dan Chunzi's side. When Dan Chunzi caught the soul wood, he immediately forced the Dark Emperor and the Hong Mo away and stopped in midair. Now, can you tell me where Sichu Zhang is? Dan Chunzi waved the soul wood in his hand and said calmly, don't even think about playing any tricks. To tell you the truth, all tricks are useless in the face of absolute strength. How would I dare to play tricks? Ningyu smiled and gave the Dark Emperor a look. He said, bring Sichu Zhang and Sichu Lei here. The Dark Emperor glared at Peng Ju before tearing the space apart and entering the nearest room. Whoosh. Soon, the Dark Emperor rushed out of the room. At this moment, the Dark Emperor was a few times bigger than before. Moreover, there were two martial artists on the Dark Emperor's back. Chapter 680. Chapter 680. Crippling Peng Ju Sichu Zheng, Sichu Lei. When the Dark Emperor rushed out of the room, Dan Chunzi immediately noticed Sichu Zheng and Sichu Lei on his back. Why are their auras so weak? After noticing Sichu Zheng and Sichu Lei, Dan Chunzi naturally shifted his attention to them. Dan Chunzi revealed a confused expression when he sensed that Sichu Zheng and Sichu Lei's auras were extremely weak. Dan Chunzi, you're wrong. Their auras aren't weak, Ningyu said calmly. Not weak. Could it be? Dan Chunzi was slightly stunned. Then, he seemed to have thought of something. His eyes widened as he scolded, they're dead. As expected of an elixir king. You're so smart. Ningyu smiled. Sichu Zheng and Sichu Lei died in battle 10 minutes ago. The person who killed them is standing right in front of you. Swoosh. Ningyu's words caused Dan Chunzi's eyes to widen and his face to be filled with disbelief. However, Dan Chunzi was not frightened by Ningyu. He said coldly, don't think that I'm easy to fool. You're only at the early stage of Yin-Yang realm while Sichu Zheng is a half-step to manifestation realm martial artist. What makes you think you can kill him? Why? Didn't you notice the Dark Emperor's identity? Ningyu appeared calm and confident. The Dark Emperor is just a dog. F***CK. It's a purple-gold sky-devouring hound. At this moment, Dan Chunzi finally noticed the Dark Emperor. He broke out in cold sweat when he saw who it was. The Dark Emperor had a huge body with purple-gold wings on his back. He exuded an extremely powerful aura. It was a sky-devouring hound. Furthermore, it was the Emperor of the Sky-Devouring Hound clan, the purple-gold Sky-Devouring Hound. This is my chance. While Dan Chunzi was stunned, Ningyu's eyes turned cold and he immediately dashed out. Ningyu's speed was extremely fast. If one were to describe it in a sentence, it would be that he was using all his strength. Instantly, Ningyu appeared beside Dan Chunzi. Life and death palm. Ningyu's early-stage 6th grade soul force poured out in full force. Combined with the vitality in his sea of consciousness that had just recovered, his palm brought about a violent gust of wind as it directly struck Dan Chunzi's chest. Bang! The huge recoil caused Dan Chunzi's body to fall backwards. Heaven-devouring light wave. Seeing Dan Chunzi's body fall backwards, the Dark Emperor opened his mouth and a huge wave of light appeared, charging towards Dan Chunzi at an astonishing speed. The Red Fiend was not idle either. He transformed into an afterimage and entered the Red Fiend sword, controlling it to attack Dan Chunzi from another direction. Peng Ju, what are you waiting for? At the critical moment, Dan Chunzi berated loudly. Peng Ju, your opponent is me. How could Ning Yu allow Peng Ju to help him? This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to severely injure Dan Chunzi. Even if Ning Yu had to risk his injuries, he had to stop Peng Ju and buy enough time for the Red Devils and the Dark Emperor. Die. Dan Chunzi was facing an unprecedented attack, and Peng Ju was also very anxious. The two of them were on the same side. If one of them was careless, the other would also be in danger. Therefore, Peng Ju could only try his best to kill Ning Yu. Dan Chunzi, hold on for a while. Once I'm done with Ning Yu, I'll go help you. Peng Ju gritted his teeth and displayed his early-stage 8th grade soul force, suppressing Ning Yu's soul. My soul force is currently at early-stage 6th grade. Your soul suppression will not have any effect on me. Facing Peng Ju's soul suppression, Ning Yu secretly snorted. However, when Ning Yu saw Peng Ju's confident look, he had an idea. In the next moment, Ning Yu let out a blood-curdling scream. His face was contorted in pain. If I knew that using soul suppression could easily finish you off, I wouldn't have wasted so much time. Seeing Ning Yu's miserable state, the corner of Peng Ju's mouth rose, and he said sinisterly, your soul force is only at early-stage yin-yang stage. My soul suppression can easily subdue you. Dan Chunzi, hold on for a few more seconds. After I kill Ning Yu, I'll immediately go help you. Originally, Peng Ju wanted to help Dan Chunzi immediately, but when he saw that Ning Yu's breath was weak and his eyes were dim, he instantly changed his mind. Kill Ning Yu. Peng Ju's plan was very simple. He would kill Ning Yu first, and then go help Dan Chunzi. Unfortunately, the ideal was very rich, but the reality was very harsh. Just as Peng Ju arrived in front of Ning Yu, his right hand brought along a violent yuan qi gale and was about to strike Ning Yu's heart. Ning Yu's body suddenly erupted with a powerful aura. This aura was abnormally violent, and it didn't seem like he was suffering from soul suppression at all. You're not suffering from soul suppression. Peng Ju's mouth slightly opened, and he said in surprise. If my soul force is only at the peak of 5th grade, your soul suppression might be effective against me. However, my soul force is at the 6th grade level, and your soul suppression is completely useless against me. Ning Yu smiled, and then he clenched his right hand into a fist and suddenly punched out. Kai. Ning Yu's punch was very powerful, and even the air on both sides was shaken to the point that it scattered in all directions. If I can escape today, I'll definitely make you. Peng Ju growled as he looked at the fist that was expanding in his eyes. Bang! However, before Peng Ju's growl ended, he felt his body become light, and he was directly sent flying into the distance. Swoosh! After succeeding in one move, Ning Yu didn't stop. Instead, he did not hesitate to burn his essence to increase his speed, and once again arrived in front of Peng Ju. Bang! 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 This time, Ning Yu used almost all the strength in his body, and in just a few seconds, he continuously punched out dozens of times. Not only was Ning Yu's punching speed very fast, but every punch also contained violent essence. Even though Peng Ju's cultivation had reached the peak of yin-yang realm, he still vomited blood after being hit by Ning Yu's dozens of punches, and his aura fell to the freezing point. Peng Ju, it seems like you can't escape today. Turning his head to look at Dan Chunzi, who was at an absolute disadvantage, on the other side, Ning Yu slightly relaxed. He planned to kill Peng Ju first. Peng Ju's heart was not in the right place, and leaving him alive would always be a scourge. I can't escape. Even if I have to self-destruct, I will drag someone down with me. Peng Ju snorted coldly, and his body gradually swelled up. Seeing Peng Ju's appearance, Ning Yu's expression changed slightly, and he thought of a plan. Swoosh! The next moment, Ning Yu dashed out rapidly, and in the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Peng Ju. Ning Yu punched out, and once again, it landed on Peng Ju's chest. This punch of Ning Yu's was not very strong, but it stopped Peng Ju from self-destructing. Furthermore, Ning Yu also separated a bit of soul strength, and it quietly entered Peng Ju's sea of consciousness. Behave first. I will come back to teach you a lesson later. After severely injuring Peng Ju, Ningyu did not continue attacking. Instead, he turned around and joined the other side of the battlefield. Ha ha ha. Ningyu, you came at the right time. Chapter 681. Chapter 681, Immortal vanquishing Dark Emperor, we can't be careless. Ningyu knew that Dan Chunzi was very strong. At the very least, he was much stronger than Peng Ju. Even though Dan Chunzi's aura was weak, his battle strength was still there. Ningyu did not want to see something like this happen, so he said in a deep voice, "Don't let your guard down until the very last moment." "I'm just saying. How can I let my guard down?" The Dark Emperor pursed his lips and flapped his wings quickly. In an instant, a gust of wind swept out and charged at Dan Chunzi. TSK TSK. Facing the incoming gale, Dan Chunzi opened his mouth wide and actually sucked the gale into his stomach. F***CK. Dan Chunzi's action caused the Dark Emperor's mouth to drop slightly. He could not believe his eyes. Could Dan Chunzi also know some kind of devouring skill? One must know that the gust of wind he released was very powerful. Ordinary martial artists could not even block it, let alone devour it. Here you go. Just as the Dark Emperor was in a daze, Dan Chunzi opened his mouth again and spat out the gust of wind that he had just devoured. TSK TSK. The gust of wind that Dan Chunzi spat out was obviously much more powerful than the Dark Emperor's fan. Even the surrounding air dodged to the sides. Life and death palm. Sensing such a powerful gust of wind, Ningyu waved his palm quickly. Suddenly, a shocking palm print appeared in mid-air. The palm print was blood-red in color and soon collided with the gust of wind. When the two collided, there was not even a sound before both dissipated between heaven and earth. Go! After the palm print and the gust of wind dissipated, Ningyu let out a low grunt and charged out first. Behind Ningyu, the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil also flew out quickly, one on the left and one on the right, heading toward Dan Chunzi. Don't think that I'm severely injured. It's still very easy to kill you pieces of trash. Dan Chunzi took a deep breath and took out the soul wood. Next, I'll show you a soul attack skill enhanced by the soul wood, Immortal Vanquishing Soul. As Dan Chunzi let out a low grunt, his early stage grade 8 soul power gushed out of his body and entered the soul wood. Voila! Dan Chunzi's soul force was at the early stage of 8th grade soul force. With the support of the spirit wood, it had even reached the astonishing middle stage of 8th grade soul force. A soul technique that relied on the 8th grade middle stage soul force was extremely powerful. What's going on? Who's using a soul attack spell technique? Outside the courtyard, in the void. Zhao Mu also felt this heaven-defying soul aura. Could it be Dan Chunzi and Peng Ju? Suddenly, Zhao Mu felt a chill in his heart and faintly felt that something was wrong. After pondering for a moment, Zhao Mu muttered, 3 more minutes. If those 2 pieces of trash still don't come out in 3 minutes, I'll go and have a look myself. In the courtyard, Ningyu looked at the soul force rushing out of Dan Chunzi's body, his expression extremely solemn. Soul-slaying immortal. At such a critical moment, Dan Chunzi actually used a soul attack magical technique, soul-slaying immortal. Although the soul attack spell that Dan Chunzi used was not as powerful as the Netherworld Samsara Palm, Ningyu had only cultivated the Netherworld Samsara Palm to the 7th form. If Ningyu could cultivate the Netherworld Samsara Palm to the 8th form, he might be able to fight against Dan Chunzi. As for now, his only choice was to run. Dark Emperor, Hong Mo, bring Peng Ju and Sichu Zhang along. We're leaving the capital. At such a critical moment, Ningyu made the most correct decision. Run. Facing such a powerful opponent, there was still a chance of survival if he ran. If he did not run, only death awaited him. If he could not win, run. This was the rule of survival in the Sky Demon territory. Run. Isn't it a little too late to think of running now? Dan Chunzi sneered and said sinisterly, even a person whose soul force has reached the 8th grade won't be able to withstand the soul-slaying immortal, let alone someone whose soul force is only at the early stage of 6th grade middle stage. Today will be the day you die. Dark Emperor, you guys go first. I'll catch up later. Ningyu took a deep breath and said in a deep voice. The Dark Emperor and Hong Mo were not fools. They knew that they could not help Ningyu even if they stayed behind. Therefore, they did not hesitate and immediately tore the void apart and disappeared. However, when Hongmo left, he threw the red demon sword to Ningyu. Dan Chunzi was not angry when he saw the Dark Emperor and Hongmo disappear. Instead, he smiled and said, "Ningyu, if you want to leave, you'll have to withstand my soul-slaying immortal first." Buzz. In the air, countless cold rays shot out. There were at least a few hundred of them. These cold rays were formed by the intermediate stage of 8th grade middle stage soul force. Each of them was extremely powerful. With so many soul force cold rays attacking Ningyu, beads of sweat appeared on Ningyu's forehead. "I have to block it no matter what." Ningyu clenched his fists tightly. The soul force in his body swept out in an attempt to block the few soul force cold rays in the air. However, Ningyu had obviously underestimated the soul-slaying immortal. The strength of his early stage 6th grade middle stage soul force could only block a few dozen soul force cold rays. The remaining few hundred soul force cold rays surrounded him from all directions. "Still not dead yet," Dan Chunzi said sinisterly when he saw Ningyu being surrounded by the soul force cold rays. Swoosh. However, just as Dan Chunzi finished speaking, a white ball-shaped object suddenly came out from Ningyu's arms. Suck. After the white ball-shaped object came out, it opened its mouth and swallowed the few hundred soul force cold rays in the air in front of Dan Chunzi and Ningyu. The sudden change not only stunned Dan Chunzi, but even Ningyu was a little dumbfounded. "Hairy ball, let's go." Although he was dumbfounded, Ningyu quickly seized this opportunity. He immediately carried Hairy Ball and tore the void to fly away. At the same time, in order to prevent Dan Chunzi from attacking Lu Jin and the others out of desperation, Ningyu controlled the branch of the Tree of World to emit a wisp of aura. "Dan Chunzi, to tell you the truth, the reason I could kill Sichu Zheng and Sichu Lei was because of this branch of the Tree of World. Just you wait. The next time I come back, it will be the time of your death." Ningyu's voice became softer and softer. In the end, it directly disappeared. The branch of the Tree of World. As an early-stage 8th grade alchemist, Dan Chunzi had naturally heard of the branch of the Tree of World. Moreover, the wisp of aura that the branch emitted made Dan Chunzi even more certain that it was the branch of the Tree of World. Now that you are already an arrow at the end of its flight, let's see where you can run to." Dan Chunzi rolled his eyes. After a cold snort, he also tore the void and directly chased after Ningyu. Someone left again. Outside the courtyard, Zhao Mu's eyes narrowed slightly. Zhao Mu was a half-step to the manifestation realm martial artist. His perception was extremely strong. In fact, when the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil left, he had already noticed the trembling of the space. It was just that he did not chase after them. Now that the space was slightly trembling again, Zhao Mu did not sit still and wait for death. Instead, he divided his perception to explore the courtyard. Damn it. Chapter 682. Cave Whoosh. Outside the capital, in a forest somewhere, a figure streaked across the sky at high speed. Upon closer inspection, this figure was none other than the early yin-yang realm martial artist who had just left the capital, Ningyu. That old monster Dan Chunzi hid his strength so deeply. Ningyu turned his head to look at Dan Chunzi, who was chasing after him, and said fiercely, "It won't be that easy to catch up to me." Originally, Ningyu thought that Dan Chunzi had already suffered heavy injuries. Even if he could execute the soul immortal slaying move, he would be an arrow at the end of its flight. Who would have thought that Dan Chunzi's vital chi was still vigorous, as if nothing had happened? This meant that Dan Chunzi wasn't injured. The reason why he pretended to be seriously injured was entirely because he wanted to borrow his hand to get rid of Peng Ju. "Ningyu, you can't run away. If you know what's good for you, hurry up and tell that purple gold sky-devouring hound to bring Sichu Zheng and Peng Ju out. Otherwise, today will be the day you die." As Ningyu flew at full speed, Dan Chunzi's words reached his ears. How could Ningyu stop? He knew very well that he would die if he stopped now. Therefore, Ningyu paid no attention to Dan Chunzi and continued to increase his speed, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Good, very good. Seeing that Ningyu didn't know how to appreciate favors, Dan Chunzi's expression turned completely gloomy. Run, the further you run, the better. It's best if you run to a desolate place, where it'll be easier for me to kill you. I've recently obtained an 8th grade elixir formula. When the time comes, I'll use you guys as medicinal ingredients, ha ha ha. Dan Chunzi felt a little excited when he thought of the 8th grade pill recipe he had obtained not long ago. This place is still quite close to the capital. I'll let you run for another half an hour. After that, I'll catch up to you. The corners of Dan Chunzi's mouth rose as he leisurely followed behind Ning Yu. If Ning Yu increased his speed, he would increase his speed as well. When Ning Yu slowed down, he slowed down as well. In short, he kept a certain distance from Ning Yu. He did not overtake him, nor did he fall behind. This is the chance you gave me. After advancing for 3 minutes, Ning Yu noticed Dan Chunzi's actions. Therefore, Ning Yu walked forward unhurriedly. At the same time, he secretly used the spirit transformation method to absorb the primordial chi in the supreme primordial crystals and worked hard to recover. The 5th level of the spirit transformation technique allowed him to absorb essence chi at an extremely fast speed. In just 5 minutes, Ning Yu had already devoured all the remaining essence crystals in his storage ring. There are no more transcendent grade essence crystals. Ning Yu's expression turned slightly ugly when he sensed that his essence energy had recovered by about 10%. In the beginning, there were a lot of supreme grade vital crystals in the storage ring. However, the red demon sword had used up most of them, and there were only a few dozen of them left. Such a small amount of transcendent grade essence crystals was naturally not enough for Ning Yu to recover to his peak state. Woof woof. Just when Ning Yu was having a headache over the lack of transcendent grade essence crystals, a dog's bark suddenly sounded in his mind. Buzz buzz. At the same time, a steady stream of pure essence chi rushed out of the storage ring and entered Ning Yu's body. Furball. The sudden change caused Ning Yu's heart to jolt. He hastily separated a portion of his perception into the storage ring. Furball was lying flat on the ground in the storage ring. Its belly was round and bulging, and it seemed to contain a lot of pure essence chi. Ning Yu, this furball has a lot of essence chi in its body. If it's not transferred out in time, it's very likely that it will explode and die. Zun Jianwen's voice sounded the moment Ning Yu's perception entered the storage ring. Explode and die. Ning Yu's expression changed drastically. That's right. Explode and die. Zun Jianwen hurriedly said, Furball has devoured a total of 100,000 transcendent grade essence crystals. With its small body, it definitely can't digest it. Actually, I'm very puzzled. Why hasn't Furball exploded after devouring so many transcendent grade essence crystals and so much soul power? What kind of species is it? Don't waste time. Hurry up and help Furball transfer the essence chi in its body to my body. Ning Yu directly interrupted Zun Jianwen's words and said solemnly, also, the matter of Furball devouring 100,000 transcendent grade essence crystals, you better keep it to yourself. Don't tell anyone. Yes. Zun Jianwen's heart skipped a beat when he heard Ning Yu's stern words. He hastily used his peak 7th grade soul power to transfer the essence chi in Furball's body into Ning Yu's mind through the storage ring. With so much pure essence chi and the 5th stage of the spirit transformation technique, Ning Yu was recovering quickly with every passing second. At this speed, it wouldn't be long before Ning Yu recovered to his peak state. What's going on? Why is that kid's aura getting stronger and stronger? At first, Dan Chunzi had also noticed the strengthening of Ning Yu's aura, but he didn't take it to heart. However, as time passed, Dan Chunzi realized that Ning Yu's aura was getting stronger and stronger. In a short span of 10 minutes, Ning Yu had already recovered by more than 50%. This place is quite far from the capital. I can't drag it out any longer. I have to get rid of Ning Yu as soon as possible. Dan Chunzi realized the severity of the problem and decided to get rid of Ning Yu on the spot to prevent any unforeseen events. Rumble. However, just as Dan Chunzi was about to go all out to get rid of Ning Yu, an earth-shattering boom suddenly rang out nearby. Accompanying the earth-shattering boom were 2 loud roars. Roar. Roar. Not only did Dan Chunzi's expression change drastically when he heard the 2 loud roars, Even Ningyu's expression darkened. Damn it! To encounter a half-step manifestation stage demonic beast battle at this time. Ningyu cursed in his heart and immediately turned around, wanting to flee in another direction. Half-step manifestation stage demonic beasts were incomparably powerful. It was said that some half-step manifestation stage demonic beasts could even match up to a true manifestation stage practitioner after going berserk. Under this premise, if Ningyu foolishly headed over, only death awaited him. Fleeing in another direction was the best choice. Ningyu, what are you running for, over here? Ningyu had just turned around and took a few steps forward when he heard an extremely familiar voice. That's right, this voice belonged to the Dark Emperor. There's a cave ahead. It's the nest of one of the half-step manifestation stage demonic beasts. Let's go in and hide. Hiss. The Dark Emperor's words caused Ningyu to suck in a breath of cold air. Hide in the nest of a half-step manifestation stage demonic beast. To think that the Dark Emperor could even think of such a thing. However, when Ningyu saw Dan Chunzi dashing over from behind, he gritted his teeth and did not hesitate to burn his soul power to increase his speed as he dashed towards the cave the Dark Emperor had mentioned. Although the distance between Ningyu and the cave was not very far, he would have to pass through the battlefield of two half-step manifestation stage demonic beasts. The slightest carelessness would lead to his death. To Ningyu, he had no other choice but to take the risk. Lunatic, I'll wait here first. I don't believe that you won't leave the cave for the rest of your life. Dan Chunzi, on the other hand, didn't have that much courage. He chose to hide here and stare at the cave. Chapter 683. Holy Chi Ningyu flew at a very fast speed and did not hold back at all. Even so, Ningyu was almost affected by the aftershock of the half-step manifestation demonic beast's attack. Fortunately, it was a close shave. As Ningyu flew at full speed, Ningyu arrived at the entrance of the cave in just a minute. Bang! However, when Ningyu wanted to enter the cave, an invisible barrier bounced him out. F***CK. Dark Emperor, what's going on? Ningyu hurriedly steadied himself and said in a deep voice, there's a barrier in the cave, why did you ask me to come over? Don't worry, as long as you retract your aura completely, the barrier won't be able to stop you. In the cave, the Dark Emperor and the Red Fiend appeared quietly. Among them, the Dark Emperor said, this barrier should have been set up by an expert, but it's been a long time. That's why there's such a flaw. All right. Ningyu took a deep breath and immediately concealed the aura all over his body. At that moment, Ningyu looked like a powerless person. Buzz. After concealing his aura, Ningyu entered the cave with ease. Follow me. After Ningyu entered the cave, the Dark Emperor said, I'll bring you to see a treasure. Ningyu said in a deep voice, what treasure? We'd better find an exit from the other side and leave this place. Once the two half-step manifestation demonic beasts stop fighting outside, we might be in trouble. In reality, Ningyu was very anxious. Putting aside the fact that Dan Chunzi was guarding outside, just the fact that this was the lair of the half-step manifestation demonic beasts was enough for them to suffer. Once the half-step manifestation demonic beasts stopped fighting, the consequences would be unimaginable. If I tell you that the reason why the two half-step manifestation demonic beasts are fighting outside is because of that thing inside, I wonder if you'll go take a look? The Dark Emperor smiled mysteriously and continued. So powerful. Ningyu knew that demonic beasts at the half-step to creation realm would not fight easily. Moreover, the two demonic beasts outside were engaged in a life-and-death battle. Something that could force two half-step manifestation realm demonic beasts to engage in a life-and-death battle would definitely not be too shabby. Let's go take a look. Ningyu pondered for a moment and said, I was waiting for you to say that. The Dark Emperor was already prepared. Hearing Ningyu's words, a pair of purplish gold wings appeared on his back as he charged into the depths of the cave. Behind the Dark Emperor, Ningyu and the Red Fiend followed unhurriedly. Whoosh! After about 3 minutes, Ningyu and the others stopped beside a pool. Dark Emperor, is this the treasure you were talking about? Looking at the small pond in front of him, Ningyu said hesitantly, there isn't much difference between this pond and an ordinary pond. Don't underestimate this pool. The Dark Emperor took out a transcendent-grade essence crystal from somewhere and directly threw it into the pool. Crack. The moment the transcendent-grade essence crystal entered the pool, it let out a cracking sound and completely shattered. Ningyu, take a look at that transcendent-grade essence crystal now. The Dark Emperor pointed at the essence crystal shards in the pool and said, "No matter how you look at it, the essence crystal is already shattered. How can it? F***ck. Are my eyes playing tricks on me?" Ningyu turned to look at the pool. When he saw the essence crystal floating on the surface of the pool, his eyes widened in disbelief. The reason why Ningyu was shocked was not because the transcendent-grade essence crystal had been reassembled, but because the essence crystal that was reassembled on the surface of the pool was no longer of transcendent-grade quality. Royal grade. To be more precise, it was a royal-grade essence crystal floating on the surface of the pool. Don't just stand there. Quickly think of a way to move the pool into the storage ring. Seeing that Ningyu was stunned on the spot, the Dark Emperor hurriedly said, "With this pool, we can have an endless supply of royal-grade essence crystals in the future." Move it into the storage ring? The pool is so big. How are we going to move it? Ningyu rolled his eyes at the Dark Emperor and then paced back and forth by the pool. After a while, Ningyu said, "In my opinion, there should be some kind of formation at the bottom of this pool. Why don't, stop. Don't say that I didn't remind you." The Dark Emperor seemed to know what Ningyu wanted to do. He waved his hand and said, "The liquid in the pool has a certain corrosive nature. If you want to go in and die, don't pull me." What are you thinking? I'm not that stupid. Ningyu took out the branch of the world tree. Since the pool can evolve transcendent-grade essence crystals into royal-grade essence crystals, I wonder if this small branch of the world tree will have a second spring. Pa. Without waiting for the Dark Emperor to reply, Ningyu flicked his wrist and threw the branch of the world tree into the pool. Splash. Unlike the transcendent-grade essence crystal, the branch of the world tree did not break in half. Instead, it displayed a shocking devouring ability. With the branch of the world tree as the center, the surrounding liquid was frantically sucked into its body. In just a few dozen seconds, the liquid in the pool had been reduced by a third. Gulp. This sudden change caused Ningyu to involuntarily swallow a mouthful of saliva, and his face was filled with shock. Although Ningyu was a heavenly supreme in his previous life, he had never seen such a monstrous thing. A minute later, the liquid in the pool was completely devoured by the branch of the world tree. Look at that branch. Just when Ningyu wanted to look at the bottom of the pool, the Dark Emperor's roar entered his ears. Ningyu hurriedly looked at the branch of the world tree. This caused Ningyu to be a little stunned. Above the pool, the branch of the world tree had doubled in size, and there was a flower bud at the top of the branch. It's actually blooming. Looking at the flower bud at the top of the branch, Ningyu's mouth was slightly opened as he muttered, "The world tree's blooming. Could it be connected to some void?" This time, Ningyu's guess was right. The space around the flower bud was faintly trembling. Crack. The trembling lasted for a few minutes before a dense aura gushed out from the void and endlessly entered the flower bud. What? Sensing the gas around the flower bud, Ningyu, the Dark Emperor, and the others were completely dumbfounded. This aura seems to be of a higher quality than the liquid aura. 10-odd minutes later, Ningyu was the first to react. Saint Aura. The Dark Emperor seemed to have some understanding of this aura as he explained, "I was fortunate enough to see this aura in the headquarters of the Sky-Devouring Dog Clan, and it's a grade higher than the liquid aura. The Saint Aura is indeed a grade higher than the Saint Aura, and it's an essential aura for heavenly sovereigns to ascend to the Saint Realm," Ningyu said. "Ningyu, can we find a way to gather the Saint Aura and leave it for this flower bud?" "It's too wasteful," the Red Devil said. "We definitely have to gather it, because this flower bud can't consume that much Saint Aura." Chapter 684. Silver-Winged Dragon Ningyu, why bother converting the Saint Aura into Saint-grade origin crystals? Isn't it better for us to absorb and refine it here? The Dark Emperor flung his lips, as if he was smart. Boom. Ningyu gave the Dark Emperor a chestnut and said, "I'm thinking about it for the long term. We can absorb and refine it here for now, but what about in the future? We can't always use this branch to cultivate, right? If others know that we have a branch of the world tree, we might not even know how we died. Oh, right. Suddenly, the Dark Emperor seemed to have thought of something and immediately said, when you fought with Situ Zheng, you used the branch of the world tree. Back then, the Black Widow and the Black Nefarious Old Monster were present, so they must have noticed something. Furthermore, Dan Chunzi might know that you have a branch of the world tree. The Red Devil added. It's impossible for the Black Widow to know that I have a branch of the world tree. Back then, she was fighting with the Black Nefarious Old Monster, so only the Black Nefarious Old Monster knows about it, Ningyu said after a brief pondering. With the Black Nefarious Old Monster's character, he definitely won't tell anyone. Our top priority now is to recover to our peak and deal with Dan Chunzi. What about the Peng Prefecture? The Dark Emperor pointed at the Peng Prefecture. Leave it for now, I'll need it later. As Ningyu spoke, he circulated the spiritual transformation technique and started to absorb the saint aura around the flower bud. Rustle, rustle. As for the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil, they immediately sat down and circulated their techniques to absorb the saint aura. Generally speaking, those that could use saint aura to cultivate at the yin-yang realm were either the geniuses of large sects or the young masters of large families. Even geniuses of large sects and young masters of large families could not casually use saint qi to cultivate. They could only use a little bit of it every month. There weren't any like Ningyu and the Dark Emperor. If some heavenly sovereigns knew that Ningyu and the Dark Emperor were using saint aura to cultivate, they would definitely curse them for wasting it. That was because if one's cultivation had yet to reach the utmost exalt realm, it would be impossible for them to use up all of the sacred qi. At the very most, they would only be able to use up 1/10 of the sacred qi, while the rest would enter the void once more. Inside the cave, Ningyu, the Dark Emperor, and the Red Devil were doing their best to recover. Outside the cave, the two demonic beasts who were half a step into the manifestation realm seemed to have been provoked by something and stopped fighting. What's going on? Why did they stop? Dan Chunzi hid behind a towering tree not far away from the two demonic beasts that were half a step into the manifestation realm. He said doubtfully, demonic beasts that are half a step into the manifestation realm will definitely win if they don't fight. A half-step manifestation realm demonic beast has stopped. There must be something fishy going on. What Dan Chunzi did not know was that there was a half-step manifestation realm martial artist staring at him from the void behind him. Dan Chunzi recognized the half-step manifestation realm martial artist. Zhao Mu. After leaving the capital, Zhao Mu carefully followed behind Dan Chunzi, not letting Dan Chunzi discover anything amiss. To Dan Chunzi, the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Roar. Suddenly, one of the demonic beasts that was half a step into the manifestation realm roared at the sky. It immediately turned around and dashed toward the cave that Ningyu was in. Swoosh. The other demonic beast that was half a step into the manifestation realm also hurriedly dashed out when it saw the situation, only following the demonic beast in front of it. Humph. Let's see if you can survive being targeted by two demonic beasts that are half a step into the manifestation realm. Dan Chunzi saw the actions of the two demonic beasts and said sinisterly, "What a pity. You are destined to become food in the mouths of these two demonic beasts." Although Dan Chunzi believed that Ningyu would definitely die, he still did not choose to leave. The branch of the world tree was still with Ningyu. Dan Chunzi would definitely think of a way to obtain such a heaven-defying treasure. Dan Chunzi not choosing to leave at this time means that there must be something on Ningyu that is worth the risk. Zhao Mu was a sly old fox. If Dan Chunzi did not leave at such a dangerous time, there must be something fishy going on. Therefore, Zhao Mu continued to hide in the void and did not plan to leave. Whoosh. At the same time, deep inside the cave, Ningyu was the first to open his eyes and slowly exhaled a breath of murky air. His eyes were filled with excitement. Sacred energy is indeed sacred energy. In just a few minutes, I have already recovered to my peak state. Ningyu felt the fluctuation of yuan qi in his body and was very satisfied. After Ningyu recovered to his peak state, the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil also opened their eyes. They had also recovered to their peak state. Put the branch of the world tree in the storage ring first. It's not safe to leave it outside. Seeing that the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil had recovered to their peak state, Ningyu moved his mind and directly put the branch of the world tree into the storage ring. Roar! Roar! However, just as Ningyu put the branch with the flower bud into the storage ring, two earth-shattering roars were heard. Oh no, it's a demonic beast that is half a step into the manifestation realm. Ningyu's expression changed. What do we do now? The Dark Emperor asked hurriedly. Bring Peng Ju here. Ningyu gritted his teeth and said in a deep voice. No, Peng Ju is a martial artist at the peak of the yin-yang stage. The power of his self-destruction is extremely powerful. You definitely won't be able to block it. The Red Devil knew what Ningyu wanted to do. He shouted in a low voice, the two demonic beasts that are half a step into the manifestation realm outside definitely want the sacred energy. They want the sacred energy. Suddenly, Ningyu came up with a plan and said, bring Peng Ju and Sichu Zheng into the storage ring first. I know what I'm doing. All right, we believe you. The Red Devil knew that Ningyu had many tricks up his sleeves. Without hesitation, he grabbed Peng Ju and entered the storage ring. As for the Dark Emperor, he slapped his thigh and grabbed Sichu Lei and Sichu Zheng before entering the storage ring like the Red Devil. Come out. After the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil entered the storage ring, Ningyu took out the tree branch again and completely sealed the storage ring. Without his permission, it would be difficult for the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil to come out of the storage ring. After taking out the tree branch of the world tree, Ningyu cast a spell and quickly injected the sacred energy into a small jade bottle. After a while, Ningyu stopped and quietly placed the flower bud in his arms. The reason why Ningyu chose to stop was because two gigantic demonic beasts had appeared not far ahead of him. For a moment, the situation was extremely awkward. Ningyu and the two demonic beasts that were half a step into the manifestation realm. The three of them were guarding against each other, and none of them attacked immediately. Human, I can feel that you have a lot of sacred energy on you. Give it to me, and I can guarantee your safety. One of the demonic beasts with two horns opened its mouth and a powerful voice was heard. Ningyu was not surprised that the demonic beasts that were half a step into the manifestation realm could speak the human language. Some heaven-defying demonic beasts could even speak the human language when they were in the true martial realm, such as the Dark Emperor. Human, don't listen to the nonsense of the two-horned beasts. As long as you give me the sacred energy, I, the silver-winged dragon, can guarantee your safety. The other demonic beast with two wings on its back snorted coldly. It was very different from the two-horned beasts. I only have a little bit of sacred energy, but there are two of you. Who should I give it to? Chapter 685. The Art of Deception. Human, you are very cunning. Silver-winged dragon glared at the jade bottle filled with Saint Qi in Ningyu's hand. It's a pity that you don't understand the current situation. You're only at the early stage yin-yang stage. You don't have the right to negotiate with us. I know I'm only at the early stage of yin-yang realm, but I'll say it again. There's only one jade bottle, but you guys have two. Ningyu wasn't affected by the silver-winged dragon at all. What is there to hesitate about? Give me the jade bottle and I can guarantee your safety, Silver-winged dragon said in a deep voice. Humph. Can you ensure his safety? At this time, the twin-horned beast couldn't stand it anymore. He coldly snorted, Silver-winged dragon, this cave is my nest. Even if you're a dragon, you'll still have to lie down. Roar. The twin-horned beast let out a loud roar towards the sky. Immediately, the earth shook, and the rocks above the cave shook. The shaking of the cave didn't last for too long before everything returned to normal. However, just as everything returned to normal, Ningyu discovered that his surroundings had undergone earth-shattering changes. Formation. With Ningyu's experience, he could naturally determine that he was currently within a certain formation. Two-horned beast, do you think this formation can trap me? It seemed that this was not the first time the silver-winged dragon had been trapped in a formation. He said in a deep voice, I've changed my mind. I'll give you the holy chi in the jade bottle. I'll take this person with me. Hehe, you are quite smart. I want the sacred chi in the jade bottle, and I also want the person, the two-horned beast said with a sinister smile. This is too much. The wings on the silver-winged dragon's back suddenly flapped, and it immediately charged at the twin-horned beast. Seniors, we can always discuss this. Seeing that the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast were about to fight, Ningyu hurriedly said. What a joke. The silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast were both half a step into the manifestation realm. The aftermath of their battle would definitely be huge. Ningyu was so close to them. Even if he had 9 lives, it would be difficult for him to survive. Shut up. The silver-winged dragon and the two-horned beast's eyes reddened. They did not take Ningyu's words to heart. Instead, they scolded Ningyu. Damn it. Seeing that he couldn't persuade them, Ningyu gritted his teeth and took out soul-chasing sword. He said in a clear voice. Saint Chi, I have a way, winged. Sure enough, Ningyu's words had a great effect. The silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast immediately stopped fighting, their 4 round eyes staring straight at Ningyu. Of spirit, soul, winged chi, winged chen, and of in. After that, Ningyu held the soul-chasing sword in his hand and said, this flying sword is no ordinary flying sword. It can communicate with the void and continuously produce holy chi. In order to convince the silver-winged dragons and the others, Ningyu quietly opened the seal on the branch of the world tree, allowing a small strand of Saint Chi wrapped in soul energy to enter Soulseeker through his wrist and then emerge from the body of Soulseeker. Sensing the Saint Chi surging from the soul-chasing sword, the eyes of the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast burned with passion. That was Saint Chi, a gas that they yearned for even in their dreams, yet this kid in front of them was able to absorb it from the void. Whoosh, whoosh. For the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast, if they could get their hands on Ningyu's flying sword, they would be able to obtain an endless supply of sacred chi and have a chance to advance to the manifestation realm. Without thinking too much, they tore through the void and charged at Ningyu. Don't say I didn't warn you. Without me, you won't be able to absorb sacred chi from the void. Ningyu had already expected the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast to be so impatient. The moment the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast moved, Ningyu threw the soul-chasing sword in his hand. Even if you get your hands on this soul-chasing sword, you still won't be able to absorb sacred chi from the void. To prevent the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast from fighting here, Ningyu said loudly, if you don't believe me, you can give it a try. It won't be too late to fight later. Whoosh. Perhaps Ningyu's words had a deterrent effect, but the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast actually stopped in mid-air. Neither of them was the first to grab the soul-chasing sword. The silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast were both half-step manifestation realm monsters. They had lived for a long time and had long since gained sentience. From the fact that Ningyu had casually thrown the soul-chasing sword and Ningyu's words, they had begun to believe Ningyu. After all, the soul-chasing sword had been severed from the void after it had flown out of Ningyu's hand. It could no longer absorb sacred chi from the void. Kid, if we kill you, we can still devour your memories and learn how to absorb sacred chi from the void. The twin-horned beast was the first to speak. That's right. I advise you to tell us honestly how to absorb sacred chi from the void. Otherwise, you'll die a horrible death. At that moment, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast seemed to have put aside their differences and were on the same boat. I don't care. Ningyu shrugged and said, but I have to remind you that if you kill me, you'll never learn how to absorb sacred chi from the void again. If I'm not wrong, the two of you have been half-step manifestation realm for many years. If you miss this chance to advance to the manifestation realm, who knows how long you'll have to wait. You're threatening us. The silver-winged dragon said coldly. I'm not threatening you. I'm just reminding you. In his previous life, as a peak level 9 alchemist, Ningyu had seen many half-step manifestation realm martial artists and demonic beasts die in fear and despair because they could not advance to the manifestation realm. From Ningyu's point of view, although the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast would not die quickly, they would never be able to advance to the manifestation realm without heaven and earth treasure. That's right. If a half-step manifestation realm demonic beast wants to advance to the manifestation realm, it will also have to go through the 3 calamities of creation. Ningyu was silent for a moment before he continued, even if you obtain enough sacred qi, you'll only have a 30% chance of advancing to the manifestation realm. How many chances we have to advance to the manifestation realm has nothing to do with you. The silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast shouted in unison. Ningyu sighed lightly and said slowly, "Alas, I originally wanted to beg my master to refine a good fortune pill for all of you. But now it looks like there's no need for that at all." Manifestation pill. This time, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast could no longer remain calm. As demonic beasts, it was much more difficult for them to advance to the manifestation realm than humans. If an ordinary half-step manifestation realm human had sacred qi, they would have at least an 80% chance of advancing to the manifestation realm. If they had a manifestation pill, there would basically be no problem. They were demonic beasts. Even if they had sacred qi, they only had a 30% chance. Chapter 686. Show yourself. You must think this through. Whether you can successfully advance to the manifestation realm depends on a single thought from you. Ningyu knew that the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast were not so easily fooled. He rolled his eyes and said, "My master is currently in the capital of the Great Xia Kingdom. 3 days. 3 days later, he will leave the Great Xia Kingdom. Since I've said this much, if you want to kill me, do as you please." Following that, Ningyu put on a posture of letting them do whatever they wanted. But Ningyu was not a fool, nor was he a fool. On the surface, he looked like he had nothing to live for, but on the inside, he was very careful. The essence qi in his sea of consciousness surged, and his soul force entered the red demon sword. As long as the twin-horned beast and the silver-winged dragon dared to make a move, Ningyu would escape immediately. If he could escape, he had to escape. If he could not, he had to escape. He could not just sit and wait for death. After listening to Ningyu's story, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast's expressions darkened. They were having an intense internal struggle. On the one hand, they could kill Ningyu and lose the chance to advance to the manifestation realm. On the other hand, they could let go of Ningyu. Not only could they obtain a large amount of sacred qi, they could also obtain the manifestation pill. After about 3 or 4 minutes, the temptation of advancing to the manifestation realm prevailed. The silver-winged dragon said in a low voice, "You have to swear on the heavenly law oath. Otherwise, we will not believe you." "Swear on the heavenly law oath." Ningyu was slightly stunned, and his expression turned ugly. He had already deceived the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast to make him swear on the heavenly law oath. Where was he going to get the manifestation pill? One had to know that the manifestation pill was a peak 8th grade elixir, and it was extremely difficult to refine. Unless he could increase the strength of his soul force to 8th grade, or find an artifact like the soul wood that could temporarily increase his soul force, it would be very difficult for him to refine the manifestation pill. The current situation did not allow Ningyu to hesitate for too long. He thought for a moment and said, "I can swear on the heavenly law oath, but you have to swear on the heavenly law oath that you will definitely not attack me. You don't have the qualifications to negotiate with us." The silver-winged dragon coldly snorted. "It's fine if you don't want to swear the heavenly Tao oath. I won't force you." After saying that, Ningyu closed his eyes like a dead pig not afraid of boiling water. "Damn it. Fine, let's swear a heavenly Tao oath." Seeing Ningyu's expression, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast clenched their teeth and finally compromised, swearing a heavenly oath in front of Ningyu. Hearing the silver-winged dragon and the others swear to the heavenly Tao, Ningyu breathed a sigh of relief and said, "I, Ningyu, hereby swear to the heavenly Tao that from now on, I will do everything in my power to obtain a pill of fortune for the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast within a year. If I go back on my word, I will be struck to death by lightning." "Ningyu, didn't you say you wanted to find your master to refine a pill of fortune for us? Why did you swear to the heavenly Tao that you were the one who helped us get a pill of fortune?" The silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast were very astute. They heard the flaw in Ningyu's words. "I am doing this for you." Ningyu once again used the great art of deception. "My master appears and disappears unpredictably. He might not be in the capital right now. If he is not in the capital, You can only rely on me to help you get a pill of fortune. Why do I feel like I've been tricked by you? The silver-winged dragon frowned slightly. Don't think too much, hurry up and hand over the Soul Seeker sword. I will help you absorb holy chi from the void. To prevent the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast from overthinking, Ningyu waved his hand and said, I can absorb holy chi for half an hour a day, the rest of the time I need to rest. Humph. You'd better behave yourself. Even though we've sworn to the heavens that we won't attack you, if others attack you, we won't be able to stop them. The silver-winged dragon snorted coldly. He then flapped his wings and swung the soul-chasing sword at Ningyu. Pa. Ningyu steadily caught the Soul Seeker sword, then immediately sat down with his legs crossed and began to pretend to absorb holy chi. Kai kai. Just as Ningyu sat down, traces of holy chi gushed out from the tip of the Soul Seeker sword. The holy chi was evenly divided into two portions, one toward the silver-winged dragon and the other toward the twin-horned beast. Seeing the holy chi flying toward them, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast quickly opened their mouths and sucked the holy chi into their stomachs. Inside the cave, Ningyu and the silver-winged dragon had a clear division of labor. One would absorb holy chi from the void, while the other two would devour it. Outside the cave, Dan Chunzi was getting impatient. This doesn't make sense. The two half-step manifestation stage demonic beasts have already entered the cave for almost half an hour. Why haven't they come out yet? Dan Chunzi's brows were tightly knitted together. He could vaguely sense that something was amiss. Logically speaking, even if the two half-step manifestation stage demonic beasts entered the cave, they should have fought over some kind of treasure. However, a long time had passed and there was not even the slightest fluctuation in space, let alone a huge battle. The branch of the world tree is still with Ningyu. I must find a way to enter the cave and investigate. After pondering for a moment, Dan Chunzi gritted his teeth and decided to enter the cave to take a look. The branch of the world tree was a huge temptation to Dan Chunzi. It could be said that the branch of the world tree was a huge temptation to any martial artist. Dan Chunzi did not lose his rationality. He first split a portion of his perception to scout the path in front of him. After ensuring that it was safe, he carefully moved forward. It was not too far away, but Dan Chunzi walked for more than 20 minutes before he reached the entrance of the cave. Hey, Dan Chunzi, how have you been? However, just as Dan Chunzi appeared at the entrance of the cave, he saw a familiar figure slowly walking out of the cave. The familiar figure smiled and said, "You've followed me for so long. It's time for us to end things." Ningyu. Looking at the familiar figure in the cave, Dan Chunzi said in a low voice, "Why did you come out alone? Where are the two half-step manifestation stage demonic beasts? You want to see them?" Ningyu raised his brows and said lightly, "Don't play any tricks. If I want to kill you, it's as easy as blowing off dust," Dan Chunzi said coldly. "It's probably very difficult for you to kill me. If you have Jiao Mu behind you, there might be a chance." Ningyu shrugged and said calmly, "What? Jiao Mu?" Hearing that, Dan Chunzi's expression changed drastically and he quickly turned around. Buzz. After Dan Chunzi turned around, he saw a crack in the void and an old man walked out of the crack. "Jiao Mu, why are you following me?" Dan Chunzi's expression was very ugly, but he tried his best to restrain himself. "Hehe, you left the capital without saying goodbye. I haven't even asked you why, but you're blaming me instead." Jiao Mu smiled and said, "I'll give you a chance to live. If you leave now, I can spare your life. I've followed Ningyu for so long. There's no reason for me to leave just because you tell me to," Dan Chunzi said in a low voice. Chapter 687. Escape. Jiao Mu and Dan Chunzi turning against each other was exactly what Ningyu wanted to see. Ningyu stood in the cave with his arms crossed in front of his chest, staring at Jiao Mu and Dan Chunzi with interest. Swoosh. Just when Ningyu wanted to see Jiao Mu and Dan Chunzi fight, Jiao Mu suddenly withdrew his aura. "Dan Chunzi, there's no need to fight between us. The most important thing now is to take down Ningyu as soon as possible." After withdrawing his aura, Jiao Mu appeared very wise, like a wise man. Jiao Mu doesn't know that Ningyu has the branch of the world tree, so we'll cooperate with him for now. Dan Chunzi rolled his eyes, but on the surface, he said to Ningyu, Ningyu, are you going to come out yourself, or do we have to go in and chase you out? Since you guys are so interested, I'll go out and play with you guys. Ningyu appeared very calm. He moved his feet and left the cave in an instant. What the hell are you doing? The calmer Ningyu was, the more worried Dan Chunzi and Zhao Mu were. I'm standing right here. Why don't you come and catch me? Ningyu smiled and said, I'm only at the early stage yin-yang realm. You guys aren't afraid of me, are you? I don't even need to use my full strength to deal with an early stage yin-yang realm martial artist like you. I can easily kill you. Dan Chunzi said coldly, the heavens have the virtue of cherishing life. I don't want to kill you since it's not easy for you to cultivate. Oh, if that's the case, I have to thank you properly. Ningyu was expressionless. He then clapped his hands and said indifferently, two seniors, please help me get rid of these two guys so that we can return to the capital as soon as possible. Two seniors? There's no such thing as a senior here. Have you lost your mind? Hearing Ningyu's words, Dan Chunzi and Zhao Mu opened their mouths and looked at Ningyu as if they were looking at a fool. Rumble. However, before Zhao Mu and Dan Chunzi could react, a crack appeared in the void in this area. Inside the crack, two huge figures suddenly sprang out. Oh no, it's a half-step manifestation realm demonic beast. The moment the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast appeared, Dan Chunzi and Zhao Mu realized the severity of the situation. Zhao Mu was, after all, a half-step manifestation realm martial artist. He grabbed Dan Chunzi and threw him towards the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast. Then, Zhao Mu tore open the void and dove in. Zhao Mu, you will die a horrible death. After being thrown out by Zhao Mu, Dan Chunzi let out a hysterical scream. Bang! Bang! However, just as Dan Chunzi let out a blood-curdling scream, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast smashed into his chest, causing him to fall backwards. Elder, you must not let Zhao Mu escape, Ningyu hurriedly said when he saw Zhao Mu enter the void. Don't worry. With the two of us here, that Zhao Mu won't be able to escape. After the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast heavily injured Dan Chunzi, they signaled to Ningyu not to worry. Buzz. Then, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast tore open the void and chased after Zhao Mu. Seeing the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast chasing after Zhao Mu, Ningyu was slightly relieved. Zhao Mu was the old ancestor of regional King City. If he escaped, the consequences would be unthinkable. Luckily, I tricked the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast. Otherwise, I would have fallen into a hopeless situation today. Thinking of what happened today, Ningyu still had lingering fears. First, he had the Black Widow to help stop the black nefarious old monster. Then, the twin-horned dragon and the silver-winged dragon helped him deal with Zhao Mu. Otherwise, he could almost foresee his tragic ending. Dan Chunzi, did you not expect this? Zhao Mu had the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned dragon to deal with him, but Ningyu would not let Dan Chunzi go. Dan Chunzi, who had suffered a serious injury, had his strength dropped to the freezing point. He basically lost the ability to resist. Fat. You are destined to die a horrible death by teaming up with a half-step manifestation realm demonic beast. Dan Chunzi said coldly. Death is at hand and you still dare to be stubborn. Ningyu did not care about Dan Chunzi's words. He said indifferently, you are an 8th grade alchemist. You must have a lot of treasures. As long as you tell me where the treasures are, I can let you live. Stop daydreaming. To tell you the truth, I have a total of 10 million supreme grade essence crystals. Dan Chunzi smiled evilly. But I won't tell you where it is. Don't even think about getting it in this lifetime. It doesn't matter if you don't tell me. I naturally have a way to force it out. Ningyu shrugged and said, come out. Whoosh. As Ningyu's voice fell, a figure rushed out of the storage ring. Peng Ju. Seeing the familiar figure in front of him, Dan Chunzi's face changed dramatically. No need to make a fuss. Peng Ju is already under control. Now, he is listening to my orders. Ningyu waved his hand and said, I have a secret method that can control a martial artist at the peak of Yin-Yang realm. The array that Zun Jianwen set up required 100,000 supreme-grade essence crystals to control a martial artist at the peak of Yin-Yang realm. Originally, Zun Jianwen was unable to control Peng Ju. However, Ningyu channeled his holy energy into his storage ring and used his holy energy to control Peng Ju. Peng Ju, which would normally take several hours to control, was controlled in just 1 hour. Dan Chunzi, if you don't tell me, I don't mind letting you be like Peng Ju. Ningyu continued. You want me to be like Peng Ju? Dream on. Dan Chunzi stared at the muddle-headed Peng Ju. He gritted his teeth and immediately displayed his 8th grade soul force. At the same time, Dan Chunzi took out the soul wood and strengthened his 8th grade soul force. Bang! Bang! In the next moment, Ningyu heard several muffled sounds coming from Dan Chunzi's body, and the frequency was getting faster and faster. Oh no! Dan Chunzi is going to self-detonate. Suddenly, Ningyu thought of a possibility, and that was Dan Chunzi was going to self-detonate. The self-detonation of a martial artist at the peak of Yin-Yang realm was extremely powerful. Even a martial artist at the peak of Yin-Yang realm might not be able to block it, let alone Ningyu, who was only at the 8th grade Yin-Yang realm. Go! In a split second, Ningyu made a decision. Leave this place. The essence in Ningyu's sea of consciousness was tumbling, and he hurriedly fled into the distance. Ningyu, the self-detonation of a martial artist at the peak of Yin-Yang realm is very powerful. We need to find someone to block it for us. Otherwise, we won't be able to escape. Before Ningyu could fly far, Zun Jianwen's voice sounded in his mind. Leave Peng Ju here and control him to self-detonate. He can block Dan Chunzi's self-detonation for dozens of seconds. Okay. Ningyu did not hesitate at all. With a thought, he controlled Peng Ju to stand in front of Dan Chunzi. As for himself, he circulated the spirit transformation art to the extreme and flew away with all his might. Rumble. In the next moment, an earth-shattering rumble resounded in the area. Ningyu did not even turn his head and continued to fly away at high speed. Rustle. The instant Dan Chunzi and Peng Ju exploded, a group of more than 10 people quietly appeared not far from Ningyu. Chapter 688. Fate Realm Martial Artists Not Good. A peak Yin-Yang Realm martial artist blew himself up. The cultivation of these people was very high, and the lowest was at the peak Yin-Yang Realm. In fact, the auras of the 2 old men at the very front had reached the astonishing Blessed Realm. However, most of them were injured and couldn't exert 100% of their strength. There is still some distance from the capital. Why would a peak Yin-Yang Realm martial artist blow himself up here? One of the Fate Realm old men frowned and asked doubtfully. Mu Feng, it doesn't matter who blew himself up. The most important thing now is to return to the capital as soon as possible. Once the experts of the corpse sect catch up, we will fall into a hopeless situation. Another Fate Realm old man said, I didn't expect the corpse sect to have a backup plan. After returning to the capital, we must gather people to find the headquarters of the corpse sect and uproot them. Ouyang Lun, although that is the case, we have already lost most of our combat prowess. Additionally, this place is so far away from the capital. It will be very difficult for us to safely return to the capital, said the old man known as Mu Feng with a frown. We can't just sit here and wait for death, can we? Ouyang Lun looked back at the dejected people and said fiercely, in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's go to the place where the explosion happened. Good idea, let's go. Mu Feng pondered for a moment, then immediately jumped up and flew toward the direction of the explosion. Ouyang Lun didn't hesitate and also flew out. Seeing Mu Feng leave, the rest of the martial artists had no choice but to follow behind Mu Feng and Ouyang Lun. These martial artists were not fools. They were seriously injured and their strength was less than 1/10 of their peak. Staying behind would only mean death. Although Mu Feng and Ouyang Lun were also injured, they were still Fate Realm martial artists and their combat power was still very strong. Swish. When these martial artists flew at full speed, Ningyu chose to stop. The reason why Ningyu stopped was that he found that the aftermath of Dan Chunzi and Peng Ju's explosion did not spread around, as if it was blocked by something. This doesn't make sense. Who would dare to stop the explosion of two peak yin-yang realm martial artists? Ningyu frowned and felt very puzzled. What are you waiting for? Come here quickly. Just as Ningyu was feeling puzzled, a voice quietly entered his ears. Hearing this voice, Ningyu was slightly startled and hesitantly asked, "You are Senior Silver-Winged Dragon?" "Who else but me?" The voice sounded again, this time a little cold. "Don't talk nonsense. We've already stopped the aftermath of these two pieces of trash self-destruction. If you don't come over now, you might be in danger." "What kind of danger could we encounter?" Ningyu was puzzled. "Spread out your perception and probe ahead to the left," the silver-winged dragon reminded. Hiss. Hearing this, Ningyu carefully spread out his perception and slowly pushed forward to the left according to the silver-winged dragon's instructions. However, as soon as Ningyu extended his perception to a certain distance, he could not help but gasp. Whoosh! In the next moment, Ningyu did not say a word and directly activated the spirit transformation technique. He wrapped his primordial chi around his ankles and flew in the direction of the silver-winged dragon with all his might. Damn it, there are actually two manifestation realm martial artists. Although Ningyu was running at full speed, he still felt a lingering fear. Because based on his perception, he could basically determine that there were more than 10 warriors rushing over at full speed not far to the left. Among these warriors, the weakest was at the peak of Yin-Yang realm. In fact, the two old men at the very front had even reached the blessed realm. Ningyu was very self-aware. He knew that with his strength, only death awaited him if he went up against a manifestation realm warrior. He would not even have the chance to escape. Rather than staying and sending himself to death, he might as well run to the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast to hide. No matter what, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast were both half-step manifestation realm demonic beasts. Not long after, Ningyu saw the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast. Fortunately, Ningyu relied on his sacred energy to recover to his peak. Otherwise, he would definitely be caught by the experts behind him. There are manifestation realm demonic beasts behind you. Aren't you afraid? Seeing that the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast did not seem to care, Ningyu said doubtfully, "You are only half-step manifestation realm demonic beasts. If you escape with me now, we might still be able to make it." "Escape? We have never thought of escaping," the silver-winged dragon said calmly. The silver-winged dragon said calmly, "Later, we will enter the cave together. With the formation at the entrance, even a manifestation realm warrior would find it difficult to enter. But we don't even need to break the formation to enter. As long as we completely hide our auras, we can easily enter the cave," Ningyu said. "You don't have to worry about that. After entering the cave, we will hide in the dark, and you will be in charge of making contact with those experts." The twin-horned beast waved its hand and said, "You will first test the strength of those experts. If they do not have any backing, we will activate the formation in the cave and capture them all. Capture them all in one fell swoop." Ningyu felt that the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast had lost their minds. After all, there were two manifestation realm experts in that group. "Why are you talking so much nonsense? You just need to obediently follow our instructions. We guarantee that all the treasures on those experts will belong to you." After saying this, the twin-horned beast immediately leaped up and grabbed Ningyu, entering the cave in an instant. As for the silver-winged dragon, it also flew up and quickly entered the cave. Shosho. 5 minutes after Ningyu and the others entered the cave, a dozen or so warriors tore through the void and appeared in the area in front of the cave. "Mu Feng, there is a cave here. Should we go in and hide?" Ouyang Lun looked around and said in a low voice, "If I am not wrong, those two peak yin-yang stage warriors self-destructed in front of the cave. Even a fool can tell." "You don't need to tell me." Mu Feng moved his feet and unleashed his perception, slowly probing the area. Seeing Mu Feng's action, Ouyang Lun shrugged his shoulders, casually found a stone to sit down, and chose to close his eyes to rest. The rest of the warriors were either lying down or sitting down as they circulated their spells to recover. Shio. Catcher. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind blew past, and the air began to tremble. "Not good, the people from the corpse sect have caught up." Upon hearing this cracking sound, the dozen or so martial practitioners present all stood up from the ground, their expressions extremely grave. Ouyang Lun said coldly, "Hurry up and enter the cave. Everyone who can fight, block the entrance. The rest of you, hurry up and rest. There is a formation at the entrance." Mu Feng frowned and said, "Ouyang Lun, stop the people from the corpse sect and buy me 3 minutes to break the formation." "Damn it. According to my judgment, there are at least 2 Fate Realm warriors among the corpse yin sect people. What do you want me to use to stop them?" Chapter 689. Notification. Ouyang Lun was very self-aware. Even at his peak, he was not a match for 2 good Fortune Realm martial artists, not to mention that his current strength was less than 1/10 of his peak. Mu Feng asking him to stay and guard the cave was tantamount to sending him to his death. Moreover, among the many experts rushing over, aside from the 2 good Fortune Realm martial artists, there were at least a dozen corpse yin sect martial artists at the peak of Yin Yang Realm. How could he risk his life to block so many martial artists? Ouyang Lun rolled his eyes and said in a deep voice, "Mu Feng, my attainments in arrays are better than yours. I will break the array, you block them." After saying this, Ouyang Lun did not wait for Mu Feng's reply. He immediately flew to the front of the cave and displayed his perception, pretending to break the array. "Everyone who can move, come with me as the center, form a semicircle and surround the cave." Although Mu Feng knew that Ouyang Lun's attainments in arrays were like shit, he had no other choice. Fortunately, the rest of the martial artists were not like Ouyang Lun. Everyone firmly guarded the cave with Mu Feng as the center. Time passed minute by minute. The cultivators surrounding the cave were all extremely focused, not daring to slack off at all. At this time, Ouyang Lun, who was trying to break the array in front of the cave, was already sweating profusely. Ouyang Lun's attainments in arrays were not very deep, and with the pressure, he naturally could not concentrate. Voila! Just as Ouyang Lun was trying his best to break the array, suddenly, dozens of martial artists flew over from afar and quickly appeared in front of everyone. Looking at the sudden appearance of so many martial artists, especially the 2 white-robed old men at the front, Mu Feng's heart sank to the bottom. Bai Wu, Bai Guang. These dozens of martial artists were all from the corpse yin sect. The 2 old men at the front were called Bai Wu and Bai Guang, both of them were good Fortune Realm cultivators. "Mu Feng, what are you guys doing there?" Bai Wu looked at the martial artists in a semicircle and Mu Feng in the middle and said with a faint smile, "Do you want to enter the cave? But there is an array at the entrance." "That goes without saying, there must be an array." Bai Guang pursed his mouth and said, "In my view, there's no need to talk nonsense with them. It's better to capture all of them and catch them in one fell swoop." Mu Feng, Ouyang Lun. They are basically the strongest experts in the Great Xia Kingdom. As long as we capture them, the Great Xia Kingdom will lose their greatest reliance. Bai Guang continued, "When the sect master comes out of seclusion, it will be the time for the corpse yin sect's army to attack and take control of the Great Xia Kingdom. Go." Bai Wu knew that the situation would change if he delayed any longer. He pondered for a second, then waved his hand and shouted in a deep voice, "Apart from Mu Feng and Ouyang Lun, kill the rest of the martial artists without mercy." Whoosh! Whoosh! Following Bai Wu's words, the many corpse sect cultivators behind him all charged forward and unleashed all kinds of spells. "Ouyang Lun, we can only hold them off for a minute. Quickly break the array." Seeing the many corpse yin sect cultivators crazily attacking, Mu Feng clenched his teeth and did his best to resist. After all, Mu Feng was a creation realm martial artist. As long as Bai Wu and Bai Guang didn't make a move, it wouldn't be too big of a problem for him to last a minute. But once Bai Wu and Bai Guang attacked, only death would await him. "How can I break this array?" Ouyang Lun, who was in front of the cave, was very anxious. Beads of sweat kept dripping from his forehead. Ouyang Lun knew very well that Mu Feng and the others outside wouldn't be able to hold on for long. He could only break the array as soon as possible. Otherwise, everyone would die today. It really is the creation realm. After the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast hid in the depths of the cave, Ningyu carefully flew towards the exit of the cave according to their instructions. Not long after, Ningyu arrived at the exit of the cave. Because Ouyang Lun was using all his strength to break the array, he didn't notice Ningyu in the void. Ouyang Lun didn't notice Ningyu, but Ningyu noticed him. He's injured. His combat power is less than 1/10 of his peak. Ningyu slightly frowned. He then shifted his perception from Ouyang Lun to the many martial artists outside the cave. There are still 3 Creation Realm martial artists and dozens of peak Yin-Yang Realm martial artists outside. Not good. It's old ancestor Ju Mo. Ningyu's perception slowly swept across the crowd and finally landed on an old man beside Mu Feng. The old man was a half-step Creation Realm martial artist. He was old ancestor Ju Mo, who had helped him not long ago. Why is old ancestor Ju Mo here? Ningyu frowned and fell into deep thought. Old ancestor Ju Mo seemed to be very respectful to the Creation Realm martial artist next to him. Could it be that the Creation Realm martial artist was the old ancestor of Danwu College? Thinking of this, Ningyu faintly guessed a certain possibility. Not long ago, the Imperial family and Danwu College joined hands to encircle the corpse sect at the Coiling Dragon Ridge. From this, it seemed that the Creation Realm martial artist in front of the cave was the old ancestor of the Imperial family. The 2 white-robed old men in the distance were experts from the corpse sect. Ningyu, there are 2 groups of people fighting outside. Lead one of them into the cave. Just as Ningyu was deep in thought, the silver-winged dragon's voice traveled into his ears. As long as the Twin Horns beast and I can devour these people, our abilities will increase by leaps and bounds, and we will reach the true peak of the half-step manifestation realm. Senior, we can't devour this group of people. I am more familiar with them. Ningyu thought about it and still felt that he should help them. He couldn't let them die in vain. No matter what, he was still a member of Danwu College. Among the dozens of martial artists besieged outside, half of them were probably from Danwu College. Forget it, help them. But leave the people behind for us to devour. The silver-winged dragon was easy to talk to and did not make things difficult for Ningyu. Buzz. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu gradually appeared in front of Ouyang Lun. Who are you? Ouyang Lun was originally trying his best to break the spirit array. When he saw a martial artist suddenly appear in front of him, his expression suddenly changed and he shouted. Who I am is not important. What's important is that if you use this method, you will never be able to break the spirit array in your lifetime. Ningyu was too lazy to pay attention to Ouyang Lun. Instead, he quietly released his soul force and sent a voice transmission to Old Ancestor Ju Mo. Old Ancestor Ju Mo, I am Ningyu. The spirit array in front of the cave is very special. There is no way to break it in a short time. If you want to enter the cave, there is only one way. I'll hide my aura completely and then I'll be able to enter the cave with ease. Of course, this method is very simple. Don't let the corpse sect know about it. Otherwise, when they enter the cave, everyone will be finished. After saying this, Ningyu's figure flashed and disappeared in an instant. Boy, come out quickly. Seeing Ningyu disappear, Ouyang Lun loudly shouted. Originally, when he saw Ningyu, Ouyang Lun thought that his opportunity had come. Chapter 690. Meet a wall. It's Ningyu. At the entrance of the cave, Ouyang Lun was still shouting. On the other side of the battlefield, old ancestor Ju Mo's heart trembled when he heard the familiar voice in his mind. He looked toward the cave. However, Ningyu had already left, so old ancestor Ju Mo naturally couldn't see Ningyu. What happened? Seeing old ancestor Ju Mo's strange expression, Mu Feng hurriedly asked. I know how to enter the cave, but we can't let the people from the corpse sect know. At this time, old ancestor Ju Mo had no other choice but to believe in Ningyu and tell Mu Feng the method to enter the cave. Hearing old ancestor Ju Mo's words, Mu Feng's expression became extremely solemn. 1 second. Mu Feng pondered for a second and then made the best decision in his life. Everyone, hide your aura completely and then directly enter the cave. Mu Feng wasn't a fool. He knew that with so many people hiding their aura, they definitely couldn't hide it from Bai Wu and Bai Guang. Therefore, after Mu Feng sent a soul message to everyone, he gritted his teeth and took out a blue crystal ball from his robe. Not good. Quickly retreat. The moment Bai Wu and Bai Guang saw the crystal ball, they realized that something was wrong and hurriedly shouted. Huala. The martial artists of the corpse sect were very disciplined. Hearing Bai Wu and Bai Guang's scolding, they didn't say anything and directly flew away. Rumble. Before the martial artists of the corpse sect could fly far, Mu Feng separated a wisp of soul force into the crystal ball and controlled it to explode. Go. After the crystal ball exploded, Mu Feng took the initiative to cast a spell and rushed toward the cave at an astonishing speed. When the martial artists from the Dan Wu Academy and the imperial family saw Mu Feng's actions, in addition to what Mu Feng said to them earlier, they did not have the slightest bit of hesitation. One after another, they exerted all their strength and quickly rushed towards the cave. Who? Among these martial artists, the lowest cultivation was at the peak of the yin-yang stage. Everyone's speed was very fast, and almost all of them entered the cave in an instant. Feeling the people passing by him, Ouyang Lun's expression was very ugly. Although Ouyang Lun's expression was unsightly, he knew that the people of the corpse sect wouldn't have gone too far and would come back soon. At this time, if he didn't enter the cave with Mu Feng and the others, then when the people of the Yin corpse sect returned, only death would await him. Whoosh. A wise man submits to circumstances. At this time, Ouyang Lun chose to submit to circumstances. Buzz. After the aftermath of the crystal ball's explosion completely dissipated, Bai Wu, Bai Guang, and the other experts of the corpse Yin sect flew back from afar. They should have all entered the cave. Bai Wu paced back and forth in front of the cave. After a while, he said in a deep voice, "We have to break the array formation at the cave's entrance as soon as possible. Otherwise, when Mu Feng and the others recover to their peak, things will become very troublesome. The formation at the cave entrance needs to be broken, but that's not the most important thing." Bai Guang waved his hand and said, "The most important thing is to send someone to search and see if there's an additional exit in this cave." Pa. Bai Wu slapped his head and said, "How could I have forgotten about that? You, and you, the few of you go and look around. Don't let even a fly go." Afterward, Bai Wu pointed to the several peak yin-yang stage martial artists beside him and said in a deep voice, "Your task is to guard the surroundings. Without my and Bai Guang's permission, don't go anywhere." Yes. The martial artists who were pointed out by Bai Wu responded in unison. Then, they moved their feet and flew into the distance. As soon as these people disappeared, Bai Wu said to Bai Guang, "You have a deeper understanding of arrays. Go and see if you can break the array formation." Bai Guang didn't say anything. He first used his perception to confirm that the cave entrance was safe, then he began to try to break the array formation. Bang! In front of the cave entrance, Bai Guang was trying to break the array formation. Inside the cave, Mu Feng, Ouyang Lun, and the others encountered a lot of trouble. Damn it! Who the hell set up a barrier here? Looking at the almost transparent barrier in front of him, Ouyang Lun said coldly, "It must be that brat from just now. Don't let me touch him, or else he'll be in trouble." Ouyang Lun, if it weren't for that person just now, don't even think about entering the cave. Hearing Ouyang Lun's words, old ancestor Ju Mo couldn't stand it anymore. He said in a deep voice, "You don't know how to repay your benefactor's kindness. Instead, you want to take revenge for your benefactor. Old ancestor Ju Mo, who do you think you are? I'll say it here. If that brat dares to come out, I'll make him suffer." Ouyang Lun snorted coldly and directly interrupted old ancestor Ju Mo here. "You want me to suffer the consequences?" Not long after Ouyang Lun's cold snort fell, a light laughter resounded in the void. Then, a slightly thin figure appeared on the other side of the barrier. "Ningyu, it's you." On the other side of the barrier, after the martial artists saw Ningyu, their eyes widened, and their faces were filled with disbelief. The first to speak was old ancestor Ju Mo. He wasn't very shocked. After all, he knew that Ningyu was inside. The second to speak was the ruler of the imperial family, Ouyang Ba. Ouyang Ba had not expected to see Ningyu here, especially when they were in a critical situation. "Old ancestor Ju Mo, how have you been?" Ningyu smiled and ignored Ouyang Ba. He said to old ancestor Ju Mo, "It's all thanks to you during the alchemy competition. After being ignored by Ningyu, Ouyangba's face turned extremely dark and gloomy. However, as a person of high status, Ouyangba knew how to restrain himself, so he did not explode. Ningyu did not continue the conversation with old ancestor Ju Mo. Instead, he shifted his gaze to Ouyang Lun and said calmly, "I've told you the method to enter the cave, but not only are you not grateful to me, you even want me to suffer. Now, I'm standing here, let's see how you're going to make me suffer. Brat, your cultivation base is only at the early yin-yang stage. I can crush a martial artist like you with one hand." Ouyang Lun's face darkened as he scolded, "I advise you to open the barrier and let us in. Otherwise, you'll regret it. Those who are ignorant are fearless." Ningyu's face turned completely dark. He was kind enough to help the people of the imperial family, but in the end, this was the result. "If you want to come in, you can come in by yourself. I won't stop you." Ningyu rolled his eyes and said in a loud voice, "Old ancestor Ju Mo, I don't know when the people of the Corpsean sect will break the formation at the entrance. In my opinion, it's safer for you to come to the barrier." "Ha ha ha, let's go." Old ancestor Ju Mo burst into laughter and moved towards the barrier. Whoosh! Ouyang Lun and the others stared at old ancestor Ju Mo, trying to see if he could pass through the barrier. To their surprise, old ancestor Ju Mo passed through the barrier with ease. Let's go. Chapter 691. All through bang. However, as soon as Ouyang Lun touched the barrier, he lost control of his body and was repelled by a huge force, causing him to retreat several feet. Poochie. Ouyang Lun coughed out a mouthful of blood. His already serious injuries worsened. Ningyu didn't care if Ouyang Lun was injured or not. He turned around and whispered, "Ancestor Ju Mo, tell me which ones are from Danwu College. I'll let them pass through the barrier." "That's simple. The cultivators behind old Dean Mu Feng are all from Danwu College." Ancestor Ju Mo had long since disliked Ouyang Lun and the imperial family. The reason they were chased by the Yin Corp sect was mainly because the imperial family didn't listen to their advice and forced their way into the Coiling Dragon Ridge Cave, causing them to be ambushed, and all of them were seriously injured. Ancestor Ju Mo and Ouyang Lun didn't see eye to eye. Now that Ouyang Lun wanted to bite the hand that fed him, Ancestor Ju Mo was naturally happy to see Ouyang Lun suffer. Ningyu secretly noted down which ones were from Danwu College and came up with a plan. "No problem. Use a secret method to tell old Dean Mu Feng that they can pass through without worry." But Ancestor Ju Mo hesitated. In his opinion, the barrier was dead while the people were alive. If Ouyang Lun also came, wouldn't it be very dangerous? "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing." Ningyu saw the doubt in Ancestor Ju Mo's heart and waved his hand, saying, "Without my permission, no one can pass through the barrier." "Ningyu, did you enjoy showing off?" Just as Ningyu finished speaking, the silver-winged dragon's voice sounded in his mind. Hearing the silver-winged dragon's voice, Ningyu awkwardly scratched his head. The silver-winged dragon was right. The barrier was set up by him and the two-horned beast. He was just showing off. The silver-winged dragon said, "Don't worry. The barrier was set up by him and the two-horned beasts." The two-horned beast echoed, "Don't worry. With me and the silver-winged dragon here, you are the master of this cave." "Hehe, in that case, many thanks to the two seniors." The words of the silver-winged dragon and the two-horned beast reassured Ningyu, and he laughed to himself. He lost his mind. Seeing Ningyu's silly smile, Ouyang Lun coldly said, "Now that everyone is at this side of the barrier, I don't believe that you have a way to let the people from Danwu College pass and trap us." "You don't believe me?" Ningyu stretched out his palm and said, "Then you can try. You can force your way through the barrier with someone from Danwu College. Let's see if you can pass." "Humph. Let's try. Who's afraid of who?" Ouyang Lun snorted coldly. He then jumped up from the ground and grabbed a Danwu College martial artist, who was at the peak of the yin-yang realm, and dashed towards the barrier. The sudden change caused Ouyangba and the others to hold their breaths. They did not even dare to breathe loudly. They watched Ouyang Lun attentively. They really wanted to know if Ouyang Lun could bring the people from Danwu College through the barrier. If Ouyang Lun could pass through the barrier, It meant that they could too. If Ouyang Lun was still bounced back, it meant that they could not pass through the barrier. Bang! Swoosh! While everyone was staring at the barrier, Ouyang Lun and the martial artist from Danwu College collided with the barrier. However, the Danwu College martial artist who was at the peak of the yin-yang realm easily passed through the barrier. On the other hand, Ouyang Lun was bounced back by a huge force just like the first time. Hiss! This sudden change caused many of the martial artists from the imperial family to be dumbfounded. All of them gasped. Crack! In an instant, it was as if something in their hearts had shattered. The faint hope was completely extinguished. Swoosh! 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 When the people from Danwu College saw that someone had passed through the barrier, they immediately jumped up from the ground and increased their speed to the limit, passing through the barrier one after another. Every time a person from Danwu College passed through the barrier, it was as if something had heavily knocked on the bodies of the imperial family, causing their faces to turn even uglier. When Mu Feng also passed through the barrier, the faces of the people from the imperial family were all ashen and bloodless. At this moment, the people from the imperial family all looked at Ouyang Lun, wanting him to make a decision. Damn it! Looking at the people from Danwu College who had begun to rest on the other side of the barrier, Ouyang Lun secretly cursed. He was on the verge of exploding in anger. Everyone, rest here. I don't believe that the people from the corpse sect can break the array so quickly. Ouyang Lun took a deep breath and said coldly, as long as we all recover to our peak state, we might be able to compete with the people from the corpse sect. On the side of the imperial family, a martial artist at the peak of the yin-yang realm muttered, how can we compete? The corpse sect has 2 manifestation realm martial artists, while we only have 1. Puff. No matter what, Ouyang Lun was also a manifestation realm martial artist, so his perception was extremely powerful. The muttering of the martial artist at the peak of the yin-yang realm did not escape his ears. Unfortunately, Ouyang Lun's eyes turned cold. His fist carried a violent yuan qi gale and fiercely punched the chest of the martial artist at the peak of the yin-yang realm. Fortunately, Ouyang Lun was seriously injured. Otherwise, this punch would be enough to kill a martial artist at the peak of the yin-yang realm. This is just a warning. If anyone dares to talk nonsense again, I will kill them without mercy. Ouyang Lun looked around and coldly said, hurry up and rest. When the people of the corpse sect break the array and enter the cave, if anyone can't recover to their peak state, don't blame me for using them as cannon fodder. Hiss. The meaning of Ouyang Lun's words was very obvious. Whoever recovered the slowest and had the weakest combat power would be the cannon fodder. Suddenly, the people from the imperial family were in a state of panic. Of course, the situation on the other side of the barrier was much better than the situation on the imperial family's side. Mu Feng took out all his belongings to help the martial artists of Danwu College recover. Mu Feng took out a lot of yuan qi crystals and elixirs. Even Ning Yu received a few king-grade yuan qi crystals and an early rank 8 origin qi recovery elixir. Although Mu Feng was trying his best to recover, he still separated a part of his perception to talk to Ning Yu. Ning Yu, it's all thanks to you this time. If it weren't for you, we would have all been wiped out. Old Dean, you must be joking. With your strength, even if I didn't appear, you would still be able to defeat those corpse sect bastards, Ning Yu said. Hehe, what a young talent. I heard old ancestor Jumo mention you. He has already promoted you to the fake holy son. Mu Feng didn't want to be entangled too much in this matter. He smiled and said, if you can smoothly return to Danwu College, you can participate in the Holy Sun test and become the Holy Son of Danwu College. I estimate that the distance between me and the Holy Sun position. Ning Yu smiled. Just as he was about to speak, the words of the silver-winged dragon rang in his mind. Chapter 692. 3 million. After listening to the silver-winged dragon's story, Ning Yu's face became extremely dignified. The corpse sect not only had 2 Fate Realm martial artists, but also more than a dozen half-step Fate Realm and peak Yin-Yang Realm martial artist. Ning Yu was very clear that the array at the entrance of the cave wouldn't be able to hold them for long, but he didn't expect them to break the array so quickly. Old Dean, the corpse sect people have already broken the array at the entrance of the cave. There's no time to lose, let's quickly leave this place. Ningyu didn't waste any time and directly said to Mu Feng, this barrier won't be able to hold the corpse sect people for long. Everyone must find a new place to recover. Ha ha ha, you said the corpse sect people have broken the array at the entrance of the cave? Ningyu's voice was quite loud, so even Ouyang Lun on the other side of the barrier could hear it clearly. Ouyang Lun's mouth curled up as he pointed to the entrance of the cave and laughed wildly. Sure enough, ignorant fools. The corpse sect people are all boorish men, how could anyone break the array? In my opinion, the corpse sect people might not be able to break the array in another hour. Ouyang Lun raised his head proudly like a victorious cheapskate. Rumble. Ouyang Lun didn't have time to be proud for long before he heard a rumbling sound coming from the entrance of the cave at an extremely fast speed. At this moment, Ouyang Lun finally couldn't remain calm anymore. The corpse sect people breaking the array at the entrance of the cave was undoubtedly a disaster for him and the imperial family. Swish. In a split second, many of the imperial family's martial artists looked at Ouyang Lun, hoping that he could come up with an idea. However, although the imperial family's martial artists looked at Ouyang Lun, they also quietly glanced at the barrier. Their meaning was self-evident. They wanted Ouyang Lun to admit his mistake and let them pass through the barrier. Kaka. At such a critical moment, Ouyang Lun could only admit his mistake, there was no other way. Ouyang Lun clenched his fists, making cracking sounds. Ouyang Lun tried to restrain himself and said in a deep voice, Ningyu, tell me, how can we open the barrier and let us pass? Letting you guys come over is very simple. I want king-grade essence crystals, a lot of them. If he wanted to advance the Red Devil's word to the monarch rank, he would need at least a few million king-grade origin crystals. Moreover, it just happened to be the best time to extort Ouyang Lun, so Ningyu would definitely not miss this opportunity. Alright, I'll give you the royal grade origin crystal. Ouyang Lun had no choice but to compromise. I have a total of 100,000 royal grade origin crystals on me. I'll give them all to you. 100,000? I'm just a beggar. Ningyu shook his finger and said indifferently, 3 million king grade origin crystals, not one less. You. Upon hearing this, Ouyang Lun went berserk. 3 million royal grade origin crystals was equivalent to half of the imperial family's wealth, yet he was asking him to take it out and give it to Ningyu. He was unwilling to do anything. Moreover, he didn't have so many king-grade origin crystals on him now, so he didn't have the strength even if he wanted to. It doesn't matter if you don't have it on you, you can put it on credit. Ningyu shrugged and said, so long as you swear on the Heaven's Tao to give me 3 million king-grade origin crystals within 3 days, then I'll open the barrier and let you guys over. Otherwise, we'll have to part ways. Stop dreaming, it's impossible for me to swear on the Heaven's Tao, Ouyang Lun berated. Swish. However, Ouyang Lun had just finished berating when two figures swiftly tore through the sky from afar and flew over. According to this speed, the two figures would appear here in at most 10 seconds. Damn it. Alright, I swear on the Heaven's Tao to give you 3 million king-grade origin crystals within 3 days. Ouyang Lun gritted his teeth and swore on the Heaven's Tao as he turned around to look at the two familiar figures. Dean, let's go. After Ouyang Lun swore on the Heaven's Tao, Ningyu waved his hand and flashed towards the depths of the cave first. Behind Ningyu, Mu Feng and the others did not hesitate at all. They immediately leaped up and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Ningyu, you said you'll let us through the barrier, Ouyang Lun shouted when he saw that Ningyu was about to leave. How foolish. The barrier has already been opened for you guys. If you guys don't come over, don't blame me for closing the barrier. Although Ningyu had left, his words remained. Swish, swish, swish. Hearing Ningyu's words, the imperial family's martial artists immediately rushed out and rushed towards the barrier with all their might. Old ancestor, we. Ouyang Ba hesitated when he saw that everyone had successfully passed through the barrier. I don't need you to tell me, I know what to do. Ouyang Lun snorted coldly and immediately tore through the void, passing through the barrier. What do you know? If it wasn't for the conflict between you and Ningyu, you wouldn't have wasted 3 million supreme grade origin crystals. Ouyang Ba curled his lips and followed closely behind Ouyang Lun. Buzz. Not long after the imperial family's martial artists disappeared, two figures appeared in the area. Bai Wu, there's another barrier here. Don't tell me it's the same as the one at the entrance of the cave. The two figures were Bai Wu and Bai Guang. Bai Guang frowned and said, "Let's try and find out." Bai Wu concealed his aura and carefully walked towards the barrier. Bai Wu walked very slowly. He was afraid that there would be explosions around the barrier. It took Bai Wu 3 minutes to reach such a close distance. Bang! Although Bai Wu was very careful, when he rushed towards the barrier, he was still bounced back by a huge force. Damn it! It's different from the array at the entrance of the cave. Bai Wu's face was extremely gloomy and he even cursed. Swish! At this moment, more than a dozen martial artists from the Corpse Yin sect arrived beside Bai Wu and Bai Guang. Bai Wu, don't worry. The imperial family and those people from Danwu College are just cornered beasts fighting. Bai Guang was very confident. He said, "Just now, I used my perception to probe and found that the cave is not too deep. As long as we break a few more barriers, we will naturally be able to see the imperial family and the trash from Danwu College. Alright, let's break this barrier with all our strength." Now that things had come to this, Bai Wu didn't have any good ideas. He could only try his best to break the barrier. While Bai Wu and Bai Guang were doing their best to break the barrier, Ningyu and the others had already settled down in the depths of the cave. However, there was still a transparent barrier between Ningyu and Ouyang Lun. Ningyu was not a fool. He would not let Ouyang Lun come over. If Ouyang Lun went crazy and attacked him, wouldn't he lose more than he gained? Besides, the array constructed by the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast was divided into two parts. The inner array and the outer array. Both the inner array and the outer array needed to be guarded. Otherwise, it would be easy for the Corpse Yin sect's Fate Realm martial artists to break through. Now that the inner array was guarded by the people from Danwu College, the outer array naturally had to be guarded by the imperial family. Otherwise, if the Fate Realm martial artists broke through the array, everyone would be finished. Ningyu, the outer array can be abandoned when necessary, but the inner array must be guarded no matter what. At this critical moment, the silver-winged dragon's tone became solemn. "Give me and the twin-horned beast an hour. After an hour, the people from the Corpse Yin sect will die." Chapter 693. A formation F***CK, so you want to ask me for holy chi. Ningyu did have some holy chi, but not a lot. If he gave all of it to the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast, he would lose a great support when he fought against the Corpse sect. I can only take the risk and let the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil control the branches of the World Tree to absorb the holy chi. Ningyu did not ponder for too long. He quickly took out a jade bottle from his pocket and threw it into the air. At the same time, Ningyu transmitted his voice to the silver-winged dragon. "I only have this much holy chi, use it sparingly." Crack! The silver-winged dragon didn't answer Ningyu. He directly tore open the void and controlled a mass of chi to take the jade bottle away. All the martial artists in the area, including Mu Feng and Ouyang Lun, showed a look of disbelief when they saw the jade bottle disappear. In their opinion, the disappearance of the jade bottle meant that there was someone hiding in the void. Thinking that the jade bottle was taken out by Ningyu, it was obvious that the martial artist hiding in the void must be related to Ningyu. "Ancestor, what should we do now?" Ouyang Ba said in a low voice while recovering. "There is still a barrier between us and the people of Danwu College. When the people of Corpse sect break the barrier, we will be at the heart of the struggle." "What should we do?" "How would I know?" Ouyang Lun said coldly. "Let's recover as much as we can before the people of Corpse sect break the barrier. Mu Feng is not a fool. He will definitely help us when the time comes. Once we all die, Mu Feng won't be any better off. That being said, I'm afraid that the person hiding in the void has a very high cultivation level. He might have reached the Fate Realm," Ouyang Ba said hesitantly. Ouyang Ba had dealt with Ningyu many times. He knew that Ningyu was very strange and had a lot of ideas. Ouyang Ba had always suspected that the death of the third prince, Ouyang Hai, was related to Ningyu, but he didn't have any evidence, so he couldn't do anything to Ningyu. After all, Elder Tan, who had gone to Shishan City with Ouyang Hai, had also disappeared for no reason. Even now, his whereabouts were unknown. There was an 80% chance that he had been killed. You don't have to worry about that. It's impossible for the person hiding in the void to have reached the creation realm. Ouyang Lun waved his hand, signaling Ouyang Ba not to worry. Judging from the spatial fluctuation caused by the disappearance of the jade bottle, the person hiding in the void is at most a half step to the manifestation realm. It's impossible for him to have reached the manifestation realm. That's good, that's good. Ouyang Ba was slightly relieved. If the person in the sky had a cultivation base of the blessed realm, they would be in grave danger today. Ouyang Ba and Ouyang Lun were whispering to each other, but Ningyu was not concerned at all. At this moment, Ningyu sent a wisp of his soul power into the storage ring to communicate with the Dark Emperor and the Red Demon. Dark Emperor, Red Devil, rely on the flower buds on the tree branches and absorb the holy qi in the air with all your might. Ningyu went straight to the point without wasting any time. It's not a problem to absorb the holy qi, but I'm afraid the old man outside might notice something. The Dark Emperor hesitated for a moment before saying in a serious tone, every manifestation realm martial artist is special. That old man might have a way to send his senses deep into the storage ring. Don't worry, we have Zun Jianwen's peak 7th grade soul power to protect us. If Ouyang Lun dares to send his senses into the storage ring, I'll make him suffer. Ningyu was not worried about that at all. Although Ouyang Lun's cultivation base was very strong and had reached the manifestation realm, he was still severely injured. Besides, Ouyang Lun's soul power was a lot weaker than Zun Jianwen's. Unless Ouyang Lun recovered to his peak, he would not be able to send his senses deep into the storage ring. That's good to hear. After saying that, the Dark Emperor sat down next to the branch of the Tree of World and activated a spell to absorb the holy qi. Ningyu, be careful of the silver-winged dragon and the twin horns beast. There's no reason for them to help you like that. The Red Devil felt that he had to remind Ningyu so that Ningyu would not rely too much on the silver-winged dragon and the twin horns beast. On the path of cultivation, if one relied too much on others, one's achievements in the future would not be very high. The Red Devil had already treated Ningyu as his big brother, so he definitely hoped that Ningyu could develop in a good direction. Seeing the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil absorb the holy qi with all their might, Ningyu was finally relieved, and his soul power quietly withdrew from the storage ring. Ningyu sat down with his legs crossed and took out a royal-grade vital crystal. He used the spirit transformation technique to absorb the holy qi and tried to adjust his mental state to its peak. There are 2 manifestation realm martial artists outside. I wonder if the silver-winged dragon and the twin horns beast are reliable. Ningyu took a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. At this point, Ningyu had no other choice. He could only trust the silver-winged dragon and the twin horns beast. In this area, his cultivation was the lowest, and his strength could only be ranked in the middle. What Ningyu did not know was that while he was absorbing the royal-grade vital crystal, the silver-winged dragon and the twin horns beast were sweating profusely, and their expressions were extremely grave. Twin horns beast, how confident are we that this formation within a formation can trap a manifestation realm martial artist? The silver-winged dragon was the first to speak. After all, this cave was the twin horns beast's lair. The twin horns beast was most familiar with the formation and its power. 50%, the twin horns beast replied. Holy F***CK. Only a 50% chance. The silver-winged dragon cursed. 50%. What the F***CK? If the formation was broken by a manifestation realm martial artist, wouldn't they be in deep trouble? What are you afraid of? I still have a backup plan. The twin horns beast curled its lips and said, it doesn't matter if the formation is broken. At worst, we can just take Ningyu and leave this place. As long as we have sacred qi and nature pills, we can definitely advance to the manifestation realm. As the saying goes, where there's life, there's hope. After we advance to the manifestation realm, we can come back and kill these 2 manifestation realm martial artists. It won't be too late. The twin horns beast thought for a moment and continued, as long as a manifestation realm martial artist dares to break into the formation, I have a way to leave a mark on them. At that time, they will be caged birds at our mercy. The silver-winged dragon pondered and said, even so, I am still a little worried. What are you worried about? Hurry up and get ready. I can feel that the two old men from the corpse sect have already broken the barrier in the middle of the cave. They will be here in at most a minute. After saying this, the twin horns beast's figure gradually became illusory and finally disappeared. Sigh. The silver-winged dragon sighed and also disappeared into the void with the twin horns beast. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Time passed bit by bit. In the blink of an eye, a minute had passed. Whoosh, whoosh. In the first second of the second minute, two figures suddenly appeared in the depths of the cave, in front of everyone. Not good. Bai Wu and Bai Guang are here. Ouyang Lun was the first to react. After all, the people of the imperial family were on the periphery and had to withstand the attacks of the experts from the corpse sect. Ningyu, hurry up and open the barrier. Let us go through. Ouyang Lun's idea was not to fight with Bai Wu and Bai Guang, but to let Ningyu break the barrier and put them on the other side. How could Ningyu satisfy this request? Ningyu suddenly stood up from the ground, grabbed the void with both hands, and shouted. Chapter 694. Chapter 694 Rumble. As soon as Ningyu's voice fell, a gust of wind suddenly rose in the area. Even the void seemed to tremble. Swish, 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 swish. The next moment, several Yuan Qi light pillars shot out from the ground and steadily occupied 4 positions. Ouyang Lun, this is the 4 beasts formation. It is divided into an inner formation and an outer formation. Now, you will guard the outer formation, and we will guard the inner formation. Ningyu stretched out a finger and said in a deep voice, 1 hour, we need to guard the 4 beasts formation for 1 hour. Are you sure you are not joking? Ouyang Lun looked at the broken formation and his eyeballs almost fell out. In Ouyang Lun's view, the 4 beasts formation arranged by Ningyu was like a piece of paper. As long as he was willing, he could easily break the formation. Now, Ningyu said that he needed to rely on this formation to resist 2 manifestation realm martial artists for 1 hour. Was this not a joke? Ningyu, open the barrier as soon as possible. Once we die in the hands of the corpse yin sect martial artists, don't think that you will have a good time, Ouyang Lun scolded. Ouyang Lun was very confident. He believed that even if Ningyu was not willing to open the barrier, Mu Feng would persuade Ningyu. However, the result was a little out of Ouyang Lun's expectation. Mu Feng did not have the intention to persuade Ningyu. He displayed his aura and firmly guarded the inner formation. Damn it! Mu Feng's action made Ouyang Lun's face extremely ugly. Swish, swish. Just when Ouyang Lun was about to scold a few more times, Bai Wu and Bai Guang's figures flashed and each launched a powerful attack. Ouyang Ba, you lead the imperial family to block Bai Wu. I will block Bai Guang, Ouyang Lun cursed in his heart. He immediately stomped his feet and wanted to fight with Bai Guang. Ouyang Lun would definitely not sit and wait for death. However, before Ouyang Lun rushed out, Ningyu's words rang in his ears. You still have 10 minutes to rest. If you don't want to die, then stay here and recover as soon as possible. Ningyu didn't give any face to Ouyang Lun and transmitted his voice to him. The outer array can only hold on for 10 minutes, but you have to hold on for 20 minutes. Ouyang Lun stopped in mid-air when he heard this. Bang! Bang! Suddenly, 2 crisp sounds rang out in succession. Bai Wu and Bai Guang were struck in the chest by 2 Yuan Qi light pillars and were pushed back several feet. Old ancestor, what should we do now? Ouyang Ba asked when he saw Bai Wu and Bai Guang's condition. Are you a pig? Full recovery. The outer formation won't be able to stop Bai Wu and the others for long. Ouyang Lun kicked Ouyang Ba's butt and repeated Ningyu's words to Ouyang Ba. The outer formation can only hold them off for 10 minutes, but we have to hold on for 20 minutes. Having said that, Ouyang Lun sat cross-legged on the ground. He took out a variety of Yuan Qi recovery pills from his bosom and swallowed all of them into his stomach. As for the rest of the imperial family, They also hurriedly sat down. No one was stingy and took out all their trump cards. Whoosh! While Ouyang Lun and the others were recovering, a dozen martial artists suddenly appeared outside the Four Beasts formation. These martial artists were all from the Corpse Yin sect. Their speed was slightly slower than Bai Wu and Bai Guang's. Everyone, attack the formation together and try to break it in the shortest time possible. Bai Wu was very angry when he was bounced back by the Yuan Qi light pillar. Since the entrance of the cave, they had broken a lot of formation barriers. Judging from the situation, the formation in front of them seemed to be the last one. As long as they could break the formation in front of them, the trash from the Imperial family and Danwu College would become lambs waiting to be slaughtered, fish on the chopping board. Boom! Hearing Bai Wu's order, the martial artists of the Corpse Yin sect attacked at the same time. For a moment, all kinds of magic arts were cast and bombarded the outer formation of the Four Beasts formation. Every time a magic art landed on the outer formation, Ouyang Lun's heart skipped a beat. He had not recovered to his peak state yet. If the outer formation was broken, he would be in great danger. Fortunately, the outer formation can block them for 10 minutes. Although I can't recover to my peak state after 10 minutes, I can recover to about 80%. Ouyang Lun looked at the fierce Corpse Yin sect powerhouses outside the Four Beasts formation and rejoiced. Although Ning Yu was abominable, the formation he set up had bought them enough time to recover. Crack! But just when Ouyang Lun was secretly rejoicing, a cracking sound suddenly rang out. Then, as if some kind of barrier was broken, Bai Wu and Bai Guang instantly appeared in front of him. F***CK. Ningyu, didn't you say that the outer formation could block them for 10 minutes? Looking at Bai Wu and Bai Guang in front of him, Ouyang Lun's mouth slightly opened and he said angrily, "Why did they break the outer formation in only 5 minutes? Ah! This has nothing to do with me." In the inner formation, Ningyu scratched his head and said, if there were only 2 Fate Realm martial artists breaking the outer formation with all their strength, it would definitely take them 10 minutes. But with the addition of more than 10 half-step Fate Realm and Yin-Yang Realm martial artists, it is reasonable for them to break the outer formation in about 5 minutes. Then what are you waiting for? Quickly open the barrier and let us through. Ouyang Lun was ashamed into anger. Humph! I said that you must block the Corpse Yin sect people for 20 minutes. Ningyu snorted coldly and then immediately stopped talking. Ningyu, we are in the same boat as Ouyang Lun. If all of them die in battle, it will be very disadvantageous for us. At this time, Mu Feng was a little sympathetic. Old Dean, you don't need to say more about this matter. I know what I am doing. Ningyu waved his hand, signaling Mu Feng not to say more. No one knew the stakes better than Ningyu. The silver-winged dragon had said that they must hold on for an hour, otherwise everyone would be finished. Ouyang Lun in the outer formation could hold on for 20 minutes and the inner formation could hold on for another 40 minutes. If Ouyang Lun and the others couldn't hold on for 20 minutes, they would have to abandon all of them. Sigh. Seeing that Ningyu was so determined, Mu Feng sighed softly and then no longer said anything. Old man Ouyang Lun, are you fighting among yourselves? The corner of Bai Wu's mouth rose, but he didn't attack immediately. Instead, he said gloomily, why don't you consider joining our Corpse Yin sect? I can fight for the position of Temple Master for you. Good opportunity. Ouyang Lun rolled his eyes and said calmly, I am a Fate Realm martial artist, and you want me to be the Temple Master? You are looking down on me too much. Ouyang Lun knew that he still needed to hold on for 15 minutes. As long as he could stall Bai Wu and the others for 15 minutes, Ningyu would definitely open the barrier. Being able to hold on for 15 minutes without any bloodshed was naturally the best result. Hee, what else do you want to be? Bai Guang said with a faint smile, in addition to the Temple Master, there are a total of 4 Heavenly Kings in the Corpse Yin sect. You can't overstep your authority and replace us. Chapter 695. Ancient Scrolls. Ha ha ha. Bai Wu seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. He threw his head back and laughed maniacally. He then said coldly, why don't you take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror? You're just a prisoner. How dare you negotiate with me? Ouyang Lun's face darkened when he heard Bai Wu's words. I just wanted to see how you would react. I didn't expect you to be so spineless. Bai Wu twitched his lips and said, forget it. I'll kill you first and then deal with the trash from Danwu College. Go. In the next moment, Bai Wu waved his sleeve and a stream of dark green gas flew out toward Ouyang Lun. Ouyang Lun's eyes turned cold when he saw the dark green gas close to him. He waved his sleeve and a ray of yuan qi shot out. Kai. Kai. The result was just as everyone had expected. As soon as the yuan qi ray came into contact with the dark green gas, it made a sizzling sound and dissipated into the air. Whoosh. As for the dark green gas, its speed only slowed down a little. It was still heading toward Ouyang Lun. At the critical moment, Ouyang Lun forced out a drop of his blood essence and wrapped it around his wrist. He then threw out a backhand palm that collided with the dark green gas. Kai. Ouyang Lun was very satisfied with the result. The dark green gas dispersed and he only lost a drop of blood essence. Show me all your moves. I'm not afraid at all. Ouyang Lun smirked confidently after blocking Bai Wu's first attack. Is that so? Bai Wu raised his eyebrows and kept waving his sleeve. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As Bai Wu waved his sleeve, a few streams of dark green gas rushed out from his sleeve and charged toward Ouyang Lun from all directions. Ouyang Lun was dumbfounded when he saw the dark green gas that filled the sky. One stream of gas required a drop of his blood essence. With so much gas, he would not have enough even if he drained himself dry. Ouyang Ba, what are you waiting for? Come and help me. Ouyang Lun knew it would be difficult for him to block so many gases, but he did not give up. He scolded Ouyang Ba, take that thing out. Progenitor, didn't you say not to take it out unless it's absolutely necessary? Ouyang Ba blurted out. F*ck, isn't this the most critical moment? Ouyang Lun cursed angrily. If it wasn't for Bai Wu, Bai Guang, and the others, Ouyang Lun would have taught Ouyang Ba a lesson. Understood. Ouyang Ba clenched his teeth and reluctantly took out a yellow scroll from his pocket. An ancient scroll. In the inner formation, Ningyu was so shocked that his eyeballs almost dropped out after seeing the scroll in Ouyang Ba's hand. In his previous life, Ningyu was fortunate enough to witness an ancient scroll. Back then, that scroll was extremely powerful, and it could even kill several heavenly sovereigns. If the scroll in Ouyang Ba's hand was really an ancient scroll, everyone would be doomed. No, it's not an ancient scroll. It's just an imitation scroll. When Ouyang Ba slowly opened the scroll, Ningyu finally felt relieved. It was just an imitation scroll. Even so, its power was not to be underestimated. At the very least, it wouldn't be a problem to disperse the dark green gas in the air. Rumble. While Ningyu was still in a state of shock, Ouyang Ba flicked his wrist and threw the scroll into the air. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, in the next moment, the several streams of dark green gas in midair flew away as if they had seen their father. However, a powerful suction force burst out from the scroll, which sucked the dark green gas into it. Here you go. Subsequently, Ouyang Ba's soul surged as he controlled the scroll to change its direction, and it flew toward Bai Wu and Bai Guang at a shocking speed. Formation. At this critical moment, Bai Wu's expression remained unchanged as he said with a clear voice, Iron Bucket Formation. As Bai Wu's voice landed, a dozen corpse sect cultivators, including Bai Guang, instantly moved and formed a formation at lightning speed. Iron Bucket Formation. Although it didn't sound elegant, the power of the Iron Bucket Formation was still very powerful. Even after the scroll had absorbed so much dark green gas, and even though it was an imitation of an ancient scroll, it still couldn't completely break the Iron Bucket Formation. Puff puff puff. However, everything has its pros and cons. Although the Iron Bucket Formation had withstood the power of the explosion of the scroll, the corpse sect cultivators inside the formation all spurted out a mouthful of blood, and their auras became weak. Of course, although the auras of the corpse sect cultivators were weak, Bai Wu and Bai Guang were unscathed and unharmed. Ouyang Lun, if you have any other moves, use them all. As long as I catch you, I'll definitely refine you into a corpse puppet. Bai Wu said viciously. Before I refine him into a corpse puppet, I'll let him experience the pain of being bitten by 10,000 grasshoppers. Bai Guang looked at the people behind him who had suffered heavy injuries and said angrily, "There's still 5 minutes left." Ouyang Lun didn't care how angry Bai Wu and Bai Guang were. He was only concerned about how to last for the last 5 minutes. On the surface, the dozen corpse sect cultivators had suffered heavy injuries, and it seemed like his enemies had decreased by a lot. However, only Ouyang Lun himself knew how terrifying Bai Wu and Bai Guang were when they were enraged. "Ouyang Ba, take out all the scrolls you have." Suddenly, Ouyang Lun's heart moved, and he shouted, "Bang!" However, after Ouyang Lun shouted, he saw a figure rapidly flying across the sky and appearing in front of Ouyang Ba. The figure raised his right leg and directly kicked Ouyang Ba's chest. The huge force caused Ouyang Ba to be sent flying like a kite with a broken string. His body was pushed back rapidly and collided with the wall behind him. "You!" Ouyang Ba raised his hand and wanted to say something. However, before he could finish his words, his eyes rolled and he fainted on the ground. "Bai Guang, go check if Ouyang Ba has any scrolls with him," Bai Wu first said to Bai Guang, before he walked toward Ouyang Lun step by step. Bai Wu walked at a fast pace, and very soon, he appeared in front of Ouyang Lun. "I've given you a chance, but you didn't know how to cherish it. It's a pity that this day next year will be the anniversary of your death." After saying this, Bai Wu's eyes emitted an intense coldness. His right hand brought up a violent gust of wind, and he fiercely attacked Ouyang Lun. "Let's go all out." Ouyang Lun knew that dodging would not bring him any good results. Therefore, he clenched his teeth and gathered all the yuan in his body on his wrist, before he threw out a backhand punch, which collided with Bai Wu's fist. Crack! When the two fists collided, Ouyang Lun felt as if his fist had collided with a 10,000-year-old cold steel, causing him to grimace in pain. "Ningyu, hurry up and open the barrier. I can't hold on any longer." Ouyang Lun was very sensible. He knew that if he continued to stay here, he would definitely be killed by Bai Wu. 5 minutes. Chapter 696. A blood-colored cold light 5 more minutes. Ningyu's expression was indifferent like an iron-blooded warrior, completely ignoring Ouyang Lun's cry for help. "Damn it. I'll give you another 3 million king-grade origin crystals." Seeing that Ningyu had no intention of opening the barrier, Ouyang Lun secretly cursed and roared. In Ouyang Lun's view, 3 million king-grade origin crystals was enough to move Ningyu and make Ningyu open the barrier. However, what Ningyu said next made Ouyang Lun dumbfounded. "No matter how many origin crystals you give me, I can't open the barrier." Ningyu's expression was still very indifferent without any color of emotion. No one knew better than Ningyu how serious the consequences would be if the four symbols formation was broken by Bai Wu and the others. No matter how strong the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast were, they were only at the half-step manifestation realm. Without the support of the formation, it would be very difficult for them to defeat Bai Wu and Bai Guang. Therefore, Ningyu made up his mind that even if Ouyang Lun and the imperial family all died, even if Ouyang Lun couldn't fulfill the promise of 3 million king-grade origin crystals, he would never open the barrier. This was a matter of principle. Besides, Ouyang Lun and the others' mission was to hold on for 20 minutes. Now that the time was not up, they couldn't blame others. "Mu Feng, could it be that you're going to watch us all die in battle? If we die, don't think you'll have an easy time." Seeing that Ningyu was ignoring him, Ouyang Lun turned his attention to Mu Feng. "Ningyu." Mu Feng hesitated for a moment and said, "Since there are still 5 minutes, why don't, old Dean, I'll tell you very clearly, without the permission of those two, I will never open the barrier." Ningyu interrupted Mu Feng's words with a firm tone. "Those two? Are they experts hidden in the void?" Hearing this, Mu Feng's heart trembled and he hurriedly looked around. "Stop looking. As long as the people of the corpse sect attack the inner formation, let everyone pour their origin chi into the barrier. No matter what, the inner formation must last for 40 minutes. Ningyu said in a deep voice. Bang! As soon as Ningyu finished speaking, Ouyang Lun, who was on the other side of the barrier, started fighting with Bai Wu again. As Ouyang Lun was already severely injured, he only lasted for a minute before Bai Wu hit him in the chest and sent him crashing into the barrier. Poochie. Ouyang Lun spurted out a mouthful of blood, then turned his head to look at Ningyu. His eyes were filled with a vicious look. Bai Wu, this trash doesn't have any scrolls on him. Should we kill him? At that moment, Bai Guang's voice rang out in the area. No scrolls. Bai Wu's brows lifted as he shook his hand and said, there is no need. He is the emperor of the great Xia kingdom, and he is still useful. However. Then, Bai Wu changed the topic, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. He looked at Ouyang Lun and said, first, cut the tendons in Ouyang Lun's limbs and let him suffer a little. Hiss. Upon hearing Bai Wu's vicious words, apart from Ouyang Lun, even Ningyu and the others on the other side of the barrier gasped. Severing the tendons of the hands and feet was just a little pain. It was imaginable how cruel it was to suffer such great pain. Ningyu, hurry up and open the barrier. I will give you whatever you want. Looking at Bai Wu and Bai Guang who were approaching him, Ouyang Lun shouted like a madman. He even made a heaven's oath, Ningyu, I swear on the heaven's oath that if you can save me this time, I will listen to your instructions unconditionally for a year. If I go against my words, I will be struck to death by 5 thunders. Boom. After Ouyang Lun made the heaven's oath, a blood-red cold light suddenly appeared in the distant void. The cold light pierced through the cave and shone on Ouyang Lun's glabella. Buzz buzz. Subsequently, the blood-red cold light flew out from Ouyang Lun's glabella and entered Ningyu's sea of consciousness. When the cold light entered his sea of consciousness, Ningyu felt that he had some connection with Ouyang Lun. It was as if he could control Ouyang Lun's life and death. How did this happen? Ningyu looked at Ouyang Lun. He wanted to find the reason from Ouyang Lun. In his previous life, Ningyu was a heavenly sovereign. He had seen many sovereign realm martial artists being forced to make a heaven's oath. However, none of them were like Ouyang Lun, where a blood-red cold light appeared. Seeing that Ningyu was looking at him, Ouyang Lun was also dumbfounded. He had no choice but to make the heaven's oath. Since he was going to die anyway, he might as well take a gamble. Who would have thought that such a situation would occur? Ningyu, things are progressing smoothly. You just need to hold on for another 30 minutes. Just when Ningyu was feeling a little confused, the silver-winged dragon's voice suddenly rang in his ears. The silver-winged dragon's voice suddenly rang in his ears, causing Ningyu to reveal an ecstatic expression. In the next moment, Ningyu directly used the blood-red cold light in his sea of consciousness to send a voice transmission to Ouyang Lun. The barrier has been opened for you. Come over quickly. Swish. Ouyang Lun seemed to have grasped a life-saving straw. Regardless of the consequences, he immediately used all the strength in his body and rushed towards the barrier. Bang! The result did not disappoint Ouyang Lun. The barrier did not stop him. He directly passed through the barrier. However, when he reached the barrier, no one was there to receive him, causing him to fall to the ground. Old Dean, tell everyone to be on guard. No matter what, we must hold on for 40 minutes. After Ouyang Lun came over, Ningyu knew that the real test was about to come. Therefore, Ningyu ignored the puzzled expressions of Mu Feng and the Danwu College's people and berated, hold on for 40 minutes and everyone will live. If you can't, everyone will die. Listen to me. Inject all your true qi into the barrier. The reason why Ningyu did not tell everyone that they only needed to hold on for 30 minutes was because he wanted to give everyone pressure. When everyone was almost unable to hold on, he would throw out that they only needed to hold on for 30 minutes. Presumably, it would have a motivating effect on everyone. Swish, swish, swish. Because Mu Feng had already told everyone from Danwu College, the moment Ningyu spoke, everyone's true qi gushed out without reservation and gathered on the barrier. Crack. On the other side of the barrier, when Bai Wu and Bai Guang saw that Ouyang Lun was rescued by Ningyu, their eyes revealed a hint of ruthlessness. Both of them clenched their fists tightly. They could not wait to break through the barrier and capture Ningyu and the rest in one fell swoop. Attack. Bai Guang did not wait too long. He immediately rushed out and rushed towards the barrier with an extremely shocking speed. At the same time, The true qi in his body gushed out and gathered on his wrist. Bang! In the next instant, a figure flew straight to the back, like a kite with a broken string, and hit the wall not far away. Fart! After continuously spitting out 2 mouthfuls of dark red blood, Bai Guang's expression became incomparably cold. His face was devoid of blood. It's the rebound barrier again. Bai Guang's killing intent burst out without reservation. He said furiously, "I'm going to tear it apart. Don't be anxious." Bai Wu did not lose his rationality. On the contrary, he was very clear-headed. Chapter 697. An expert Bai Wu, what do you want to do? Bai Guang asked solemnly. Bai Guang also had some understanding of rebound barriers. After all, they had encountered rebound barriers since entering the cave. However, Bai Guang was even more clear that the rebound barrier in front of him was the most powerful and difficult to crack. "Give me 10 minutes. Bai Wu took a deep breath and immediately closed his eyes. Seeing Bai Wu's appearance, Bai Guang was a little stunned. He opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but no words came out. Bai Guang knew that Bai Wu had a sense of propriety. Since he asked him to wait for 10 minutes, then he would definitely have a way to crack the barrier after 10 minutes. "I'll let you live for another 10 minutes. Bai Guang first glared fiercely at Ning Yu and the rest, then sat cross-legged and chose to close his eyes to recuperate. Swoosh! Ning Yu was a little dumbfounded when he saw Bai Guang and Bai Wu's actions. After pondering for a while, Ning Yu transmitted his voice to Mu Feng, "Tell everyone to stop injecting essence qi and rest where they are. Listen to my instructions at any time." Mu Feng looked at Ning Yu, then waved his hand and said in a clear voice, "Rest where you are." Whoosh! When the warriors of Danwu College heard Mu Feng's words, they stopped injecting essence qi and took out essence crystals to replenish their exhausted essence qi. "Ning Yu, do you know what Bai Wu and the rest are up to?" Mu Feng looked at Ning Yu and hesitated for a moment before saying, "Should we take the initiative to attack?" "We don't need to know what Bai Wu is up to." Ning Yu said solemnly, "Just now, everyone lasted for 3 minutes. If Bai Wu and the rest drag on for another 10 minutes, everyone only needs to last for another 17 minutes. Another 17 minutes? Hearing this, Mu Feng was stunned for a moment before asking doubtfully, "You said that we have to last for a total of 40 minutes. Only 3 minutes have passed. Even if Bai Wu and the rest drag on for another 10 minutes, we still need to last for another 27 minutes. Could it be that you're afraid that everyone won't be able to last until then? So you want to use this to provoke everyone?" Mu Feng was worthy of being the dean of Danwu College. He quickly guessed Ning Yu's plan. "Old dean, keep an eye on them first. If Bai Wu and Bai Guang make any unusual movements, inform me immediately." Ning Yu nodded and walked towards Ouyang Lun step by step. Looking at Ning Yu's back, Mu Feng's expression was solemn. With Ning Yu around for the next academy tournament, Danwu College is likely to make a breakthrough. At this moment, Mu Feng made up his mind. As long as he could return to Danwu College safely, regardless of whether Ning Yu became the Holy Son or not, he would give Ning Yu the resources of a Holy Son. Mu Feng even decided to use all the resources of Danwu College to nurture Ning Yu. Whoosh! On the other side, Ning Yu didn't know what Mu Feng was thinking. If Ning Yu knew that Mu Feng wanted to use all the resources of Danwu College to nurture him, he would just laugh it off. Although Mu Feng was the dean of Danwu College, he couldn't control all the resources of Danwu College. At most, he could only fight for a little more. For a colossus like the Danwu Academy, there would definitely be many factions within, and it would be very complicated. Moreover, what Ning Yu was concerned about now was whether he could completely control Ouyang Lun. Ouyang Lun was the patriarch of the imperial family. Once he was controlled, wouldn't all the resources of the imperial family belong to him? "Ning Yu, what are you trying to do?" Ouyang Lun's voice rang in Ning Yu's mind while he was letting his imagination run wild. He seemed very anxious. Ning Yu raised his brows and was slightly shocked. This was because he realized that Ouyang Lun's mouth didn't move when he spoke. It should be because of the heavenly Tao oath. Ning Yu did not make too many guesses on this matter. He went straight to the point and said directly, Ouyang Lun, you said that you would obey me for a year. I ask you now, how many royal grade essence crystals does the imperial family have in total? Are there royal grade essence crystals? I don't know how many royal grade essence crystals there are, but according to my estimation, there should be 5 or 6 million pieces. Ouyang Lun answered honestly, as for royal grade essence crystals, there are some, but... Speak. Ningyu said in a solemn voice. Recently, a powerhouse came to the imperial family. All the royal grade essence crystals were all taken away by him. Ouyang Lun gritted his teeth and said, appearing very angry. The imperial family only had a total of around 10,000 pieces of royal grade essence crystals. All of it was taken away by that powerhouse. Ouyang Lun naturally could not be happy and was extremely furious. One had to know, 10,000 pieces of royal grade essence crystals could groom a lot of powerhouses for the imperial family. Powerhouse? What cultivation is he? Ningyu asked. Middle stage yin-yang realm, Ouyang Lun said with certainty. The reason why I know what his cultivation is that I have exchanged blows with him before and was defeated in one move. Ouyang Lun recalled the first time he met that powerhouse and still had lingering fear. One move, just one move, and that powerhouse defeated him, making him lose all face. Ouyang Lun did not tell anyone about this matter. Of course, Ningyu was excluded. A middle-stage yin-yang realm martial artist defeated you in one move? Ningyu was slightly taken aback, appearing somewhat shocked. Right now, his cultivation was at the initial stage yin-yang realm. He could contend with a peak yin-yang realm martial artist. Facing a half-step creation realm martial artist, if he used all his trump cards, he could more or less contend a little. But that was all. After a long time, he would still be defeated. But the middle stage yin-yang realm martial artist that Ouyang Lun said could easily defeat him, who was at the creation realm. It was truly inconceivable. Do you know his background? Ningyu thought about it and asked again. Ouyang Lun patted his head and said with uncertainty, I don't know the specifics. Oh, right, I seem to have heard him say that he came from something grand, something palace. Supreme Nine Purities Temple. This time, Ningyu was finally moved. The Supreme Nine Purities Temple was his mother's sect in this life. If that powerhouse from the imperial family really came from the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, then he must definitely meet him. Ningyu, Bai Wu, and the others have made their move. At this moment, Mu Feng shouted loudly. Be on guard. Everyone, inject your primordial qi into the barrier. Ningyu temporarily put aside the matter of the imperial family powerhouse and cooperated with Mu Feng and the others to quickly inject their primordial qi into the barrier. Crack. However, just as Ningyu and the others injected their primordial qi into the barrier, Bai Wu's fist came into contact with the barrier. This time, the barrier did not rebound Bai Wu back. On the contrary, Bai Wu's fist surged with a powerful energy, and a few cracks appeared on the barrier. Crack. Crack. After that, Bai Wu continuously waved his fist. Every time his fist landed on the barrier, a cracking sound came from the barrier. Very quickly, after 3 minutes, the barrier finally could not hold on any longer and completely shattered. Not good. Everyone, retreat. The moment the barrier shattered, Ningyu's expression changed greatly, and he hurriedly said, Ha ha ha, retreat? Now that the barrier has been broken by us, can you run away? Where can you run to? Chapter 698. Meet force with force. What's the point of talking nonsense with them? Hurry up and get rid of them before anything unexpected happens. Bai Wu's expression was solemn as he shouted in a deep voice. In that instant, Bai Wu sensed 2 terrifying auras in the void. Although the owner of the 2 auras was at most a half step to the manifestation realm, a martial artist who could hide his cultivation in front of him would definitely not be weak. Ever since they entered the cave, they had experienced too many things that defied common sense, so they had to be extremely careful. Understood. Bai Guang knew that Bai Wu was not shooting at random. He nodded his head and rose from the ground. The first person he charged at was Ningyu. In Bai Guang's view, even though Ningyu's cultivation was only at the initial stage in Yang realm, he was the leader here. The fact that Ningyu could become the leader of the creation realm martial artists at the early stage of the yin-yang realm was enough to prove that he was the most mysterious and strange one. Be careful. Seeing Bai Guang charging towards Ningyu, Mu Feng's expression changed drastically. He gritted his teeth and immediately charged out, blocking Ningyu's path. Ningyu, I'll hold them back. You take the people from Danwu College and leave as soon as possible. Leave? Where are you going? Bai Wu did not stay idle either. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, and his body disappeared in the blink of an eye like a bolt of lightning. Life and death palm. When Bai Wu disappeared, Ningyu sensed that something was wrong. He hurriedly summoned the essence qi in his sea of consciousness and gathered it all on his wrist. With a backhand palm, he blasted it toward the void. Pa. As expected, as soon as Ningyu struck with his palm, Bai Wu appeared beside him, and his palm collided with Ningyu's palm. A crisp sound rang out as the two collided. Whoosh. Bang. Soon after, Ningyu's body was like a kite with a broken string, falling straight to the back until he hit the stone wall. Only then did he stop. Poochie. Ningyu spat out a mouthful of dark red blood. His originally flushed face instantly became bloodless. Dark Emperor, give me your holy qi. Ningyu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and began to communicate with the Dark Emperor to ask for holy qi. The Dark Sovereign didn't hesitate at all, and she immediately injected her holy qi into Ningyu's wrist through her storage ring. Ningyu controlled the holy qi on his wrist and sent it into his sea of consciousness. Almost in an instant, he completely replenished the essence qi he had consumed. After recovering to his peak state, Ningyu stood up from the ground. His eyes were fixed on Bai Wu, and his expression was extremely cold. In the distance, Bai Wu could not help but raise his eyebrows when he saw Ningyu stand up again as if nothing had happened. It doesn't make sense for him to recover so quickly after taking a hit from my palm. Bai Wu was puzzled. The palm technique he used just now was extremely vicious. Even a martial artist at the peak of yin-yang realm might not be able to survive after being hit by it. However, Ningyu was only at the early stage of yin-yang realm. Yet, he was able to survive unscathed. If one were to describe it in one sentence, it would be as if he had seen a ghost. Dean Mu, lead the people from Danwu College to deal with Bai Guang. Leave Bai Wu to me. Ningyu was emotionless as he said indifferently. Can you cover them? Mu Feng asked in a deep voice. No problem. I know what I'm doing. Ningyu waved his hand, indicating that Mu Feng could be at ease. Just now, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast sent a message saying that they had already set up the array formation and were just waiting for Bai Wu and the others to take the bait. However, the only way to get Bai Wu and the others to take the bait was to fight them and lure them to the center of the array formation. Otherwise, everything would be in vain. Helpless, Ningyu could only choose to be the guide. Go. Mu Feng did not hesitate. He waved his hand and immediately led the people from Danwu College to attack Bai Guang. Senior Silver-Winged Dragon, tell me the location. After recovering his mental state to its peak, Ningyu contacted the Silver-Winged Dragon. 3 meters to the front left. The Silver-Winged Dragon's voice was slightly weak as he said, don't worry. As long as you fight with Bai Wu, we will activate the array formation and let the array formation's energy enter your body. By then, you can even fight Bai Wu for a short time. Remember, you only have 3 minutes. Buzz. After saying that, the silver-winged dragon did not say anything else. The next moment, with Ningyu as the center, energy from all directions surged toward him and entered his body. Feeling the energy filling his body, Ningyu's confidence instantly increased. Array formation. I didn't expect there to be an array formation here. Seeing the endless energy entering Ningyu's body, Bai Wu snorted and said, do you think you can defeat me with an array formation? Then I can tell you very clearly that you're too young. Next, I will let you know what a real manifestation realm martial artist is. Swoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, Bai Wu leaped up and appeared in front of Ningyu in the blink of an eye. His fist brought with it a violent primal chi gale as it slammed toward Ningyu's head. Bai Wu's fist contained a terrifying primal chi pressure. If Ningyu was unlucky enough to be hit in the head, He would be crippled even if he did not die. Life and death palm. At this critical moment, Ningyu took a deep breath and circulated the spirit transformation method to the extreme. He controlled the monstrous energy in his body and poured it out. Crack. Ah. The fist and the palm collided. This time, the familiar scene did not appear. Instead, after a cracking sound, Bai Wu let out a scream like a pig being slaughtered and quickly retreated. The array formation's energy into my body is only enough for me to throw out 3 palms. Feeling the energy in his body decrease by a third, Ningyu's expression became slightly solemn. The silver-winged dragon had said that he had to lure Bai Wu to the center of the array formation within 3 minutes. Otherwise, everything would be in vain. You've completely infuriated me. Bai Wu rubbed his swollen wrist and said fiercely, "This day next year will be the anniversary of your death. Sigh, there have been people who said the same thing to me in the past. But I'm sorry, they all ended up miserable." Ningyu sighed softly and said calmly, "Today, you're fated to not have a good time either. I'll F***CKU. Bai Wu roared furiously and immediately rushed out again. This time, Bai Wu's speed had increased significantly. In just 0.01 seconds, he appeared in front of Ningyu. Go. Now, Ningyu definitely did not want to fight Bai Wu head-on. His mission was to lure Bai Wu to the center of the array formation within 3 minutes. Everything else had nothing to do with him. Ningyu was not a fool. As long as the silver-winged dragon and the twin horns beast controlled Bai Wu would be a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Where do you think you're going? Bai Wu's eyes shone with a frightening light. He pushed his speed to the limit and chased after Ningyu. However, Ningyu closed the distance of 3 meters in an instant. I'm already in the center of the array formation. Why don't I use the remaining energy and give Bai Wu a surprise? Ningyu raised his eyebrows slightly and did as he said. He immediately wrapped the energy in his body around his palm and pushed it out rapidly with a strong energy wave. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.